The Dark Realm is a difficult place to live. Plants grow weakly and twisted in the lack of sunlight. Mercenary work and banditry are rife, as it pays more than basic farming or hunting. The realm at large is ruled over from the great city of Guardia, an overpopulated, sinful place ruled over by a baleful king that we haven't seen in years. There is an elven kingdom to the south, ruled by the sequestered shadow elves, a dwarven kingdom lost to the mountains of the west, and a tiefling kingdom among the volcanic rock of the islands in the north. Great patches of our land are poisoned and deserted. There are tribal villages, beasts, goblins, and orc warbands, of course, but we're trapped here. The mists are a mystery. Most who enter them never return. Those that do are changed in such a way that they are unrecognizable or utterly insane. Nothing comes out of the mist, but it surrounds us, calls out, poisons, frightens. Couple that with the almost endless darkness, and the Dark Realm is a very difficult place to live.
Will, can you hear me? Will!
Did he trip? What happened?
I don't know, he was talking to me and then he just collapsed.
I'm here. Ow.
Oh, thank God.
Did you fall?
Sorry, give me a sec.
Is he injured? Can you
sure.
see anything?
I can see.
Did you trip over something?
No, I don't know. I was subjected to a vision just now or something. I'm not sure.
A vision?
What? Did you not see it too? You were there.
Can't say that we saw anything, but you were tossing and turning in your sleep.
Right. I'll be fine. Just give me a sec to reorient myself.
Did you speak to them?
Who's them? I'm sorry.
The mists, the things in the mists.
No, I spent most of my time talking to you and Merlin.
What did we
Like-
do?
Them or misty versions of them?
Sorry, it's sorry. It's like waking up from a very deep sleep all of a sudden again. I'm just getting my bearings again. It was I was like cast adrift in a big empty space, and then I found these two. You were absent, Fire. And then we confronted a shadowy creature posing as me. Had to face it. We killed it. And then there was crayons, colors, chalk. Sort of color puzzle, I can't remember.
You three killed you.
Something like that. Don't believe it was me. I believe it was some foul projection of this place posing as me.
Did you learn anything? What did you learn? Anything?
Before I state what I've learned, take it with a bit of salt, because I have no way of knowing whether these things are accurate or not. The puzzles, the color puzzles. There were pictures on the wall, and we had to line them up. And when we were done, I found that I could focus on them and extract a meaning from them. I could feel the truth behind them, but for each one that I looked at, it took quite a toll. The mental strain was intense. I couldn't look at all of them. Yeah. The headaches. Truthfully, up till now, I've not really had to... When you've complained of the headaches, I understood that it hurt, but this is the first time feeling it myself. It has not been this intense. And it kept getting worse as I tried to decipher these pictures. I could only handle 2. This child of darkness that we've been seeking, and this rumored child of light as well.
What did they look like?
I don't know, because I only saw them as infants.
What kind of infants? The tiefling children?
In my vision, they appeared to be human. But let's not forget we've just passed a giant mountain that also appeared human to me and appeared tiefling to you. So I don't put a whole lot of stock in that. And since there was an infant, there's no way to tell what they would have looked like when they were grown. But there was one thing that stuck out. This child of light and child of darkness, they are one and the same. It was one person, the same infant.
But how?
Excellent question.
Seems there's a lot that Arias does not know.
I looked at a second picture. It was a crown. I don't recognize it. It was not Guardia's design. But I could not help shake a kind of an odd feeling. It was mine. At some point. Whether
But
distant past or
You
distant
didn't
future, I don't know.
recognize it, but you know it was yours.
That is correct. The same way you've never been to or seen this village we're heading to, and yet somehow you know
Yeah.
the way.
Just an unshakable truth.
I was wondering how that felt. I meant to ask you, but now I understand it. It's feeling but not touching. It's like putting your hand close to a fire. You're not touching it, but you still feel it. I get it now.
Was there anything else? You said you saw a few images. Why do you only know those 2?
Those were the only 2 I chose to focus on. As I said, it was... I don't know that I could have focused on another and come back to you the same. I could...
Yeah.
I could feel my willpower breaking. I would have liked to have stayed and deciphered them all, but that's... probably too much for one mind to handle. And frankly, I don't know if any of this is accurate. I don't know how much of this was a truthful vision, or perhaps a deceitful vision, and how much of it was just my own imagination.
Yeah, especially if we were with you the whole time. It doesn't make any sense. We've been here. I mean, you were only out for seconds.
I suspect it was both. Because the things that I saw in there, I don't think they could have even been my imagination there. I'm not a very creative person, Vix. I couldn't have come up with all that stuff myself, even if I tried. It had to have come from somewhere else, but I think the projections... I think you and Merlin were my imagination. It was just my own memories recreating you. But the rest of it wasn't me. It was a vision from an outside source.
And you fought a alternate version of yourself.
Yeah.
I wonder what it means. Or if it means anything.
Don't know.
Well, I'm gonna make a note of it anyway.
It's for the best.
Is it? I'm gonna say something that might sound crazy, and you can just feel free to brush it off if it is, but you fell, had this vision. You were shown an infant, the child of darkness and light, and a crown which felt like belonged to you at some point. Do you think it could be you?
I would dearly like to answer no. But with the evidence presented so far, I can't really deny it makes more sense to be me than anyone else.
And if
Odd
the
powers
child...
coming out of nowhere connected to the sun somehow. Could be a reference to Child of Light. In that realm just now, we faced some sort of shadowy demon creature that had my face. Child of Darkness. It's all grasping at straws, though, really.
Yeah, it's just the first thing I thought of when you explained it.
Well, you're as pale as a ghost. Here, let me find you something. And then Merlin, he goes through his sack and grabs a water skin and a ration, being the salami, and hands it over to Will. Don't worry, that's not from the mist. I learned my lesson with the berries.
Merlin, you're not handing me salami right now, are you?
It's a great pick-me-up, okay? I know it's not the most appetizing thing right now, but it's what I've got. Take it or leave it, or I'll eat it.
I'll take it. I'll take it, but if another one of those tentacled flying octopus comes after us, I'm holding you personally responsible for this.
Fine, I'll take the profit and hands it over.
Give me that.
I will also hold you personally accountable.
It's okay, Merlin has his new staff now. He'll be able to fend it off one-handed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't know
stand
about
back
that.
and let you handle it.
This headache is troublesome. Is anybody else suffering from the headache badly at the moment?
It's lingering, but it's been worse.
Yeah, it's kind of dull for me.
Likewise.
I'll do what I can.
I think you need the help.
I do. For the first time, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to tend to my own injury first, because I don't know how much use I'm gonna be like this. I can barely see straight.
We need you at your best. It makes sense.
I get it. I'm gonna channel Lay on Hands into myself, which, with the updated version of the ability conveniently gives me to the number the exact number of points that I'm currently missing. I'm just gonna purge the headache away.
Yeah, you do so, and with a greater understanding of how this ability works or how it functions, you're able to instantly remove this headache of yours. It is no doubt an ability that feels magical to you in some way, but you also understand that it's a certain well of power that you can draw on, and you are using your full usage of it. You can tell that you've drained your ability to do this, but you also understand now that after resting for a long time, you will be able to recover this ability again, and that you can use it to heal not just physical wounds, but these strange, deep psychic or psychological wounds that the mist is imposing on you and your party members.
I get it. I get it.
You get what?
You get what, exactly?
I was depending on the sun before, because I didn't get it. Before I was... It's hard to explain. I was catching the sun almost, and then I was turning and I was projecting it into you, Fire. You remember when I healed your finger? You remember? I had to wait for the sun to be out. I had to wait because I didn't get it. And I was just redirecting that into you, but... I can hold it. I can hold it myself. I don't need the sun, at least not at that moment. I just need a glimpse of it, just for a moment. I think I can heal people without the sun, that's what I'm saying. I get it now. It just... During those few seconds that I was out, it just kind of clicked. Not clicked. Didn't click. I remembered.
So you think you've always been able to do this? You've just not realized?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's the same way I'm remembering a crown I've never possessed.
What exactly did you say before you went down?
I said I wish I could do more. Remember, I was trying to remove your headache, and it wasn't enough. And I was lamenting that I didn't have the sun there at that particular moment, because I feel like if I had, I would have been able to help you more thoroughly. And in that moment of frustration, that's when it just... like a memory coming back. I don't need the sun. At least not all the time.
I don't like the way this place seems to unlock some sort of knowledge. How is it doing that?
I am very much in agreement that I kinda hate the idea that there's a whole bunch of stuff hidden just out of reach, memories
It's
that
all
we
there.
can't see.
It's inside us already.
I enjoy that part. I think that's the only enjoyable part. It's all the other parts.
I
But I
can't
have
say
issue
that,
How is that the
actually.
part you enjoy?
Well, what else is there to enjoy?
That is a fair question. But at the moment, this is a boon for us. It will mean going into the mist, I can at least purge these headaches more consistently. Just be grateful for that.
It also means the deeper we go in, the more we might know.
Yes, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing remains to be seen.
Well, it occurs to me that we could verify Arias's information.
How so?
If he's had contact with something inside these mists that's told him these promises, there's a chance that we could contact the same being.
Just be careful of how much contact we make. We've seen what they can do.
I can assure you I'm in no rush to try.
Alright. Okay. I'm up. And other than slightly disoriented, I think I'm good to go. The wounds that thing inflicted on me appear to have just been my own imagination.
If you feel the need, though, to sit down and rest, don't hesitate to tell any one of us, Will.
I will. But with that said, I would far rather hurry on to our destination than rest here for another second.
Agreed. Time is of the essence.
Let's get moving then.
Time is indeed of the essence as you plan to progress further into the mist and head to the area that Fix has a fix on. You are fully aware of the general direction in which you need to go. In terms of the terrain, you have no idea what lies ahead of you, Fix, but you do know the direction, almost like you have a compass and a general sense of distance. You know that you're pretty close, but you've still got maybe a few hours of travel ahead of you. Four of you maybe pack up your small things and then continue along what is and isn't a path, the broken remnants of an ancient looking road, mostly at this point overgrown, cracked and missing in places. Beside of you there is an enormous mountainscape, and eventually it disappears into the darkness and the mist behind you as you head out. Can everybody roll me a d20, please? Ooh.
Whoa.
Oh. A 20 from Merlin, a 1 from Fire, an 11 from Will, and a 5 from Fix. Let me add those together. That is 37. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to roll 1 dice.
Oh no.
Uh-huh. The weather in here is oddly calm. There hasn't been any rain. There is a breeze of sorts, but it's been quite still. Though it is very cold. The closer you get to your destination, Fix, you recognize that it's getting colder and colder and colder. Each of you will experience a particular chill to the air, and it comes on very quickly. It goes from being not necessarily warm or anything, it'd probably be relatively cold, but it goes from that to chilly, I would say. No snow, you're not frozen or anything like that, but you can certainly determine that over the last 2 hours of your walk, it has gotten colder. The area, for the most part, becomes a little bit more of a barren open land. For the 2 days, or the 1 day of your journey and 1 evening of your journey so far, you've mostly been trekking through a forest full of these thin, tall, dark trees, and while they are still very, very present around you, there are also these patches of wide open land. The ground harder here than it was before, as if you're moving around that mountainscape, and the elevation maybe is allowing for less of that sort of dark and dead looking vegetation, which is almost grass, but grass suggests that it's a living green thing, whereas this is a callous and tough grass underfoot. Soon enough, once this chill starts to really set in and you've been traveling for about 2 hours, maybe a little more. In the distance, the four of you will notice a building. At first, it probably doesn't register like that. You'll see a hillside. You'll see this plain, barren part of the land give way to an incline of sorts, but the hillside contains a natural stone structure carved to allow for a building inside of it. Huge. It's cracked and it's broken, but you can tell as you get closer and closer to this thing that it's a man-made structure, a thing that is being built into the side of this almost cliff-like hill. It's very large, however. This isn't a small thing. It could be several hundred feet tall, considering you're able to see it from a distance, even through the dark. The reflection of a vague light on the mist allows you to see. Confirming it's a building, beside it, there is a ruin of what might be an ancient tower. In places, there are walls, little more than a few stones and bricks. But you get the sense, as you get closer and closer, that this was once where maybe a village had stood. At one point, you recognize on your right-hand side a great crack in the ground, a fissure that is opening up. And as you progress, you notice that you're heading upwards towards this hillside with the broken buildings and bits of remnants of stone and man-made structures around it. There is a great big crevice now in the ground, as if splitting the ground in half, straight through the center of where this village might be, up on the hillside ahead of you. This thing gets wider and wider until probably the widest point you're each able to determine is around 60 feet across. As you get closer to the building again and look down into this fissure, it's endless, just a broken moor in the land that runs from the bottom of the hillside as you began walking up, all the way up and straight through the structure that's been built into the side of the mountain, into the side of the hillside. You can see that there is an opening to this one remaining building. A huge crumbling thing. As you approach the structure, the crevice, the fissure in the land, kind of forces you to move in the incline upwards towards this singular structure, and you get a better idea of the town around you. But before you progress any further, is there anything you want to do?
I assume this is the place.
Do I get a sense from looking at the landscape that this is the place I saw?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Certainly looks different than how I last saw it. And I create an illusion in front of me of what I actually saw in my vision of this village bustling. But the scenery looks the same.
That does look like the same place. Wonder what happened to it.
Do you think this crack had anything to do with it?
I was just wondering the same thing.
Do you think something made it? Or do you think something came out of it?
The dwarves like to tell stories about ancient creatures that live deep in the earth. always thought they were just folk tales, but I guess out here anything's possible.
Hmm.
Do they all live in this one giant structure?
There were buildings. There
cool.
were so many buildings. This is...
Right. In the vision of this town, Brad, was there still that the giant structure that towers over everything else, or is that not present?
Yeah, the enormous building in front of you, if you strain your thoughts, Fix, served almost as a central point for the town. There were lots of buildings around the front and the sides of it, much smaller, little dwellings and homes, simple looking things, a few stone and brick towers about. Now there's almost nothing of that left behind. There are a handful of areas where you can see almost like a blueprint. You know, you've only really got the lower ends of it, all of it overgrown and lost. No detail to anything. Years and years of weathering.
And how wide is this fissure where we are now?
It's pretty much at its widest point. It's about 60 foot across.
And you can't see anything down it. It's just blackness.
At least, you know, for as far as your eyes can see.
I'm gonna send Vita down it a ways just to see if I can see any bottom.
Yeah, roll me. You roll me a d20. I'll do it that way.
6.
A 6 plus your modifier is that number. Okay. Roll me just a flat wisdom check for Vita.
Uh, 17.
Is Vita in ash form right now?
No, they'll be out in regular form.
You see Vita, and each of you has recognized Vita kind of lazily following you along for the most part, in and out of the flaming form. But at this point, once Fix, you draw your attention to Vita and you look at them, you get, you maybe like instruct them or ask them or command them to go down into this fissure, and Vita does a kind of few loops very quickly. The flames die out, and Vita denies you your request or your command or something. However you respond.
Okay. I close my eyes and enter Vita's senses and see if I can feel anything.
Yeah, roll me a d20 again.
5.
And then another wisdom check for Vita.
1.
Natural 1. You are able to do this normally quite naturally, just almost instantly transfer a level of your consciousness into Vita's. At the moment, you get a sense of overwhelming anxiety and fear as your consciousness crosses into Vita's small body, and while Vita struggles against you, almost willing you to not enter, the overwhelming fear, that anxiety is quelled as you take control of Vita's body.
I just leave it again. I don't know what's wrong with Vita, but they're terrified.
I think that makes them smart.
Terrified
Probably.
of what? Just
don't
the
know.
area?
I mean, they've been on edge since we got in the mists, but this is different.
Did something set that off?
I tried to ask Vita to go down there to see if they could see anything down the crack, but they wouldn't. I'm not going to force it to. And perhaps it senses something we don't.
Down there?
Yeah. Perhaps you could do your coin trick?
Yeah, I can do that.
Are we sure that we want to know?
I mean, if you wanted me to go down there, I wouldn't want to go down either. I can't say I blame him. Alright. Another copper down the drain. I will cast light on a copper coin and toss it down this crevice to see if we get any kind of response.
Yeah, you throw this thing in. It casts just enough light, turning over as it moves down into this crevice. For the longest time, you see it falling. It gets smaller and smaller and smaller until it looks like a tiny little star at the end of this darkness before the light goes out. There is a decent amount of time and no echo of any coin hitting a surface returns to you.
That is a very, very long drop.
Perhaps we should stay far away from it.
Agreed. There's... If we did for some reason want to explore that, that's an all-day task. Let's look around at what we have in front of us instead, before we worry about what's down there.
If it's something we do maybe want to reconsider, I can cast Featherfall.
But
Well then, no offense, but... that may in fact be the worst idea I've ever heard. I'm sorry. No, I see what you mean. That would be the fast way down, but consider what you're suggesting with dropping to a bottomless pit we can't see the end of. I don't think that would be wise.
and how would we get back up?
Are you... Well, I guess, yeah, no. Getting back up would be the issue, really.
You suggested that without having a way to get back up? What if I had said yes?
Well, it's not like I casted the spell and we're already floating down, okay?
What if I just
we're
said
not
yes
there
and you
yet.
cast it and I just jumped?
That would be your fault, Fire.
I'm just speaking
Well-
out loud.
It's a fair point.
Well, if this is the village and we're looking for a tomb,
I swear if we find someone here who tells us that it's down there, I'm going to lose my mind.
Then we just go, we leave, and we find a tavern, and we just, maybe we buy a farm, set up your heel shop, make money.
I would agree with you and say drink the rest of our days away, but I currently can't get drunk. So I guess we're gonna have to stay here and look for this graveyard.
and hope that whatever caused that crack didn't swallow up what we're looking for. Because that would be just our luck. I head towards the building.
Yes, you guys move upwards now, and get closer and closer to this structure, which again, the closer you get, you realize this thing is enormous. They clearly carved it out of the mountainside, out of the hillside here. But the masonry would be pretty interesting to you, Will, maybe more so than the others. Unbelievably old, however, no real definition to it. There are even cracks, huge things breaking into the walls that are sitting underneath the hillside here, somewhat supporting the part mountain, part roof that there would be. It is quite impressive as you get to the entrance of this thing, sitting at maybe 100 feet tall, a little taller, and arching over the fissure itself. beside the opening, there are two great figures carved into the walls themselves. You start to see definition to this thing as you get closer and closer and closer to it. Once you are close enough that you can see some of this detail, you probably at first glance over this thing, looking in the hopes that you would maybe recognize a face or writing or something like that. But the structure itself, plus the carved figures in these walls, enormous, are eroded through time so badly that there's no real detail. However, you can see that one of them is most likely a tiefling in a robe or a gown, and on the other side a human. It's very possible that the human side on the as you're facing it on the right hand side would maybe have had horns like a tiefling at one point and they've eroded away, but it sort of looks as if there wasn't to you. Both in similar dress, these robes, gowns, not necessarily clothing that you recognize, except maybe through some of the desert folk in Dandelo or Coos might be wearing something like this, but really it looks archaic and ancient, very, very time worn, very little detail to them. Finally, Will, you do see an unrecognizable language. To the rest, it would look like very deeply carved and strange circular lettering. And to Will, it appears at first almost the same. Before you recognize that it is this strange language that you have noticed one or two times recently. It's quite hard to directly translate, but to you it reads as winter and hall. Presented to you as one word, winter hall. You're able to step inside the opening a little bit. There is enough of room for you to easily walk inside, but there's an enormous fissure and crack that is sitting and causing this structure to sit awkwardly underneath its own weight. Looking inside, or maybe looking up as you get close enough now to the entranceway, this huge archway over the fissure, you can see that inside it's almost more cave than a hall, shaped into what was once probably an almost perfect cuboid shape. It's just hollow now. The fissure running through it makes it quite difficult to travel through, almost as if you're standing on the edge of a mountain. But you can see that at the far end of this this hall, there is a similar looking archway, another way out, an exit through it.
Where have I seen this script before?
You saw it recently. Where did you see it? I don't want to answer you. Can't remember if it was in Arias's things that you saw it, but I know that you've seen it within this campaign.
Okay, would it be the same script that's written on the amulet thing I'm wearing?
Yes, that's where you saw it recently. Correct. Thank you.
I guess the whole party would see. I'll turn the amulet around for a second and kind of look at the lettering there before looking at the carvings on the wall. No.
What?
I'll just turn the amulet around so Merlin can see the inscription on the back and probably put two and two together that it's the same language.
Oh.
Maybe you were the king here. Who knows?
I apparently didn't do a very good job with it, if that's the case.
Yeah, it is disappointing.
It's a mess.
It's a mess. Not gonna sugarcoat it. You did a bad job.
You know, you can leave a comment in the box by the door on the way out then.
I will.
Okay. I will do that.
What's odd, though, is I can't read this word written on my own keepsake. But I can read that, and I'm not entirely sure why.
Does any of the lettering look similar?
Yes, it's the same language, but
Can
I
you
don't see it.
make comparisons with the way the letters are drawn?
I wish, but sadly I'm not much of a linguist. It's kind of odd, though. It's when I use spells when we're fighting, the words that I'm speaking, I know what they mean, but it's more of an innate understanding, if you will. I can sense it. It's not like I could directly translate the words. I have a visual, you know?
And like it's someone else's knowledge inside you.
It's all hazy. I don't get it. But I know that on the wall there says Winter Hall. So maybe they came here in the wintertime when it got cold. Maybe they stored their food up here.
I mean, it is cold up here, as it is.
People in frozen environments would often store their food up for the wintertime and then live off it until it was warm enough to grow more. Maybe it was similar here. Maybe in the wintertime this place is unbearably frozen and they all had to hole up in this big building. I don't know.
Or they just thought the name Winter Hall was cool.
Perhaps it was named after someone.
Yeah, maybe. I don't think they've done it for style points, though. It's every other word that I've recognized so far has been very literal and very visual. So I would assume it's the same here. It's probably done very literally. I doubt that they just did it for the sake of the way it sounds. But if I had to guess, this is like a granary of some sort. Store their food here and live off it in the winter.
Oh,
Hide from
don't
the
you
cold.
tell me that. I will want to most definitely have a peek. Although, well, I wouldn't imagine there's much left behind. And, well, we're here in the mist.
I just put my hand on your shoulder firmly.
No, I am not going in fire. At least not without you.
I believe you.
Just why make it so elaborate? Why the statues if it's just to store food? I once again try to see if Vita wants to cooperate.
Yeah, roll me another d20.
A 1.
Oh my god.
I would say at this point, Vita has become utterly and completely disconnected from you. Just fully independent. You don't even really have much of a connection right now. Vita is moving around in the ashy, smoky form, kind of sporadically and wild. More animalistic than usual. Almost like when a dog or a cat is spooked by something and they just keep checking around, moving swiftly and then stopping for a moment and then moving again. Extremely hyper-vigilant, but at this point you have lost all complete connection or control over Vita. The fear consuming Vita.
Hey, calm down. Just I try and like scoop it in. I try and physically
Impossible.
grab it and stuff
Way
it.
too quick. Also, basically incorporeal.
Oh, there goes that idea.
Is your little buddy gonna be okay?
I hope so. I don't feel it anymore. I don't feel the whatever it is. Something about this place is rattling it.
Well, it means it's got more sense than the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. We ready to go inside?
Sure.
Ready.
There's only one way we're gonna find out what's going on here after all.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go. I will move up the path towards it.
Yeah. You guys step inside this big hollow hall, but it would feel more to you almost like a cave at this point. Time-worn, a ruin. Maybe about 200 feet by 200 feet across. Difficult to see any real detail in anything, but as you get closer and look around, maybe you touch a hand to a wall, you can see that this was once huge masoned bricks. Well made, well carved, and partially built into this mountainside, but so old and so time worn that it's crumbling and falling apart. The enormous fissure in the ground that's running straight through the center of this hall makes for quite difficult travel, and although there is an exit that's at the end and very obvious to you, it's a little hard to maneuver towards. Everybody roll me acrobatics checks just to see how well you do moving through the ruins of Winter Hall. Pretty decent. 11, 10, 13, and 18. You mostly move through this thing. Every now and then one of you will dislodge a stone or even some broken pieces of mason stone underneath your feet. It crumbles away, bits of it crumbling in a way that makes you feel like you're almost stepping on ice in places. It cracks, and you realize how brittle some of the parts near the edge of this fissure are, being held together probably only by moss. You each make your way about halfway through this hall before there is a sound behind you, and everyone roll me a perception check. See how quickly you latch on to this sound. I think Fire, you notice it first. A sort of noise. It echoes around you in this hall. At first, it just sounds like the same sounds of the bricks or the crumbling bits of the ceiling above you. Every now and then will just rattle downwards. Before there's an odd pattern to it that makes you feel like it's something else. At this point, Will, do you still have the light cantrip up? It lasts an hour. Or would you have dispelled it?
You mean on the coin that I threw in the ravine?
Yeah.
I don't know if I even can dispel that one early. I don't think the spell says I can. I think that's more like, you're on your own, little guy, and then throw the coin in and it's on its own after that.
I think you can dismiss it, but we're going to say for now that you didn't, because it's coming back. Fire, as you turn back, you recognize behind you, roughly around the area where you first came in, that there's a little light that comes up out of the fissure and then turns towards you. Each of you will probably be aware at this point as little sounds behind you give way. Suddenly, pulling themselves up and out of the cave or out of the fissure behind you are several creatures.
Merlin?
Each of you... Oh, you shouted. Okay.
Oh,
No, I'm not
well,
shouting.
Keep your mouth shut.
I'm not shouting. I'm just
Everything sounds
addressing.
like a shouting here. That's good enough
Okay,
for me.
it might echo then. I'm just gonna say, Merlin, I blame you.
Me? That's not my fault.
All right.
Salami.
Let's bring you over to the battle map if I can. I'm going to put you each here. So you were about halfway through the thing. You actually probably wouldn't have had to do this if you hadn't thrown the coin in.
So it had nothing to do with the solo.
You might have been okay. But there might have been another check, but it doesn't matter now because you alerted them either way. And oh, I didn't put the things up. Oh, here we go. Let me just.
Oops.
Do we have to roll initiative or you
Yes,
know?
please.
Okay.
You're in initiative now.
And I assume Vita is not going to cooperate in initiative.
Vita is completely out of
Yeah,
your control
okay.
right now.
Maybe this is the thing that was causing Vita to
Yeah.
panic.
Yeah. Probably.
So maybe we kill them. We kill them. Maybe Vita goes back to normal.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, 6. 6 of these creatures begin to emerge from the darkness of the pits below, and you will recognize them as being the same types of creature that you were able to see that night, last night when you rested outside. These short but kind of lean, pale-skinned bodies, very human-like at first, before you recognize that they are covered in a dark kind of fungus and mosses that seem to directly grow into their flesh and burst out of it in places. They have green eyes that, in the reflection of the light from the coin, reflect very brightly, like you might see a torch in a cat's eyes. This bright green, quite easy to recognize in the gloom and dark of this this cave, this hall. One of them has the copper coin jammed into their flesh in the center of their forehead, a small drop of blood running down its forehead and down its nose. And it looks over to you and...
What the hell, man?
I'm glad you're laughing. I'm going to add them onto the turn order.
I just want to look right at that one immediately and go, sorry about that.
You can place yourselves anywhere within this red square that you'd like to stay you were for the time being.
Yes, I wonder where he
would
got
this
that
be-
one from.
Would this be us quickly reacting to these things coming out, or is this where we were before?
No, this will be wherever you were before.
Okay, then I was like up here then, because I think I was. Wait, were we walking north or south on this map?
North.
North. Yeah. Okay. So I was up there, taking point, essentially walking in.
Okay. Now, Vita will not do anything, so I'm just going to remove them from the map. They are floating around wildly, reacting to everything. Let me roll for the creatures here. Okay. What is your oh, never mind. Oh yeah, Fire. What is your dex score overall?
20.
20. So you go first, then the pale ones.
I don't like that you named them after me. That's offensive and upsetting.
Merlin, you go first. These creatures coming up out of the ground here. You can see all of them. You can see that they clearly are of malicious intent, and they're quite small. They're about your height, actually, about 3 to 4 feet,
Oh.
but very, very thin.
Okay, well, if I can see them even from this, I guess what appears to be like a wall, I am most definitely going to be casting Scorching Ray on 3. Oh, no, it's 2, right? Or is it
Let's
3?
see here. I will give them colors, which I thought I did
Yeah, thanks. That
already,
would
but
be-
I guess not. Okay. Green. Yellow. The one with the yellow mark on him is the one with the coin in his head, we're gonna say.
Okay.
That's like throwing a coin off the Empire State Building in New York and it hits some pedestrian.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what
yikes,
you think
man.
happened? I see, right, okay.
Yikes.
Oh, I get that one.
That was definitely the first impression, even if, maybe it found the coin and put it in its own forehead, but I'm just... Will is going to sit here thinking he threw the
get
coin and
it.
it hit this thing in the head, and
I
that's
see
why they're
you found it
mad.
so funny now, but yes. Yeah, maybe it was one or the other. I'll roll to determine fate. I know the answer. Okay. What do you do again? What were you doing? Sorry, Merlin?
Yeah, I'm gonna scorching ray on the green, the yellow, and pink.
Okay.
So I
Yes.
will do it 3 times. 1, 2, 3.
A 14, 26, and a 22. Each one hits. Roll me the damage,
Yay.
please. As these scorching rays are launched out from Merlin's hands, they light up the area briefly, the green eyes on these things following it before they are hit by the burning ray of damage. So it was 8 to the first one. It was 5 to the one with a coin in his head. And 10 to the one behind them, climbing up out of the crevice here. Their feet and their hands on the rocks make almost no sound. They don't seem to be crumbling any of the rocks underneath them, but you can see them all very clearly now. You can still move or use a bonus action.
You know what? I am gonna try and... Oh, wait, no. I'll use telekinetic to try and push the green one back.
Ooh. Yes. How does that work
Hold on,
again?
let me-
Give me the blurb.
Yeah.
There we go.
No worries.
As a bonus action, you can try to telekinetically shove one creature you can see within 30 feet of you. Aha! You got to be within 30 feet, I'm afraid.
Phooey.
And it is
Okay,
currently
alright then.
45 feet away from you.
Man.
There's one. You
Okay.
can run forward. You still have movement. You could potentially
Okay,
move to
I'll
here
just-
and do it.
Yeah, okay.
Peering over
I'll
this
do
large
just that. Yay,
rock.
perfect. Let's push him.
All right.
I've
And
always wanted to be a bully.
they must succeed on a strength saving throw. Versus DC 8 plus your proficiency bonus, which is 2, plus the ability modifier, which is intelligence, right? So that'd be 15. So they have to roll to beat a 15 and 11. You push this creature off the edge. It is shoved by a force that it is not expecting to hit it, almost like it's hit by a direct gust of wind, and you shove it away from the rocks that it is very carefully climbing up. It kind of looks up at you for a moment while that telekinetic grasp is still is still active. Treads air for a brief second before falling. Roll me 20d20. Is that right? Is that
Oh god.
is that the terminal velocity die? You deal 192 damage to this thing by shoving it off the edge. Unbeknownst to you, for all you see is a creature pushed off the edge. Its eyes wide and green before it falls into the darkness below.
Bye, Felicia. Alright, that's my turn.
Okay, and that brings us to Fire's turn.
Okay. This wall of brick things, how tall is it? Like, could I pop up over it and take a shot with my bow?
Yeah, these bricks are about 5 foot tall here.
Okay. Yeah, I'll pop up over it and take a shot at the yellow boy.
Yep. Give me the attack roll.
Oh.
Uh-oh, that is a natural 1. Give me a d20. Wow, another natural 1. I think you've rolled 3 so far this evening.
Double nat 1.
And I recommend refreshing your page on Roll20. Okay, roll me a 1, 2, 3, 4. D4, please.
Oh no.
1 is north. 3. 1, 2, 3. Your bow in your hand is unsteady. Something causes your hand to tremor for a second. A cold chill maybe runs down your spine as you are about to loose this arrow. Your arrow catches the back of the hand which is holding the bow, and you let go of the bow. It flies forward, landing just in front of Merlin, in fact. You are disarmed of your bow And that ends your action. You still have movement. You could run over and get there.
I'm gonna just shake my head and try to scurry and grab my bow.
Yeah. Where did you move from? How much movement have you got there?
5, 10, 15, 20. I have 10 feet left.
Right.
Am I able to pick it up?
Yes, you can pick it up as a free action.
Okay.
All you did was drop it.
Yeah, and then I'll just go right here and just kind of sit.
Prepared another. It doesn't break or anything. You just do this.
Yeah.
Oddly.
I'm just humiliated more than anything.
Yeah, I think. You can roll me a d20 as well, actually.
Okay. 9.
A 9. So let me roll this dice for you. You might hear laughter in your own head, or coming up from the fissure, or maybe it was behind you. The laughter sounds a lot like your brother when you were much, much younger.
Oh, you dick.
Pale ones start moving. Let's see here. So these creatures move. Yes, 30 feet. So this one is going to move over to here. The others will move in different ways. This one actually will simply climb up to here. They are moving across from you as opposed to running directly at you. Several of them moving in a strange way. The way that they are moving around you is almost as if they're trying to encircle you like animals, almost like hyenas or something, moving around a prey, as opposed to a more human-like tactic of people with weapons and things who might rush you. The way they move is much more animalistic. They look quite humanoid, but act very, very much like animals. It's in terms of how they move. Again, it's just a pure silence on their footsteps and hand steps as they move on all fours around you. Each one moving towards you you hear a kind of odd bubbling from within their bodies, churning, almost like a bog or a swamp, the pops of bubbles coming up before you see each of them begins to drool, a thick green drool. As they move around you, they begin to spit these balls of noxious filth towards you. So I have to roll for them, though. Oh, no, I don't. Let's see here. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Yuck.
Oh,
Yes.
yuck. Are they gonna spit? Oh, no.
Will,
in
roll me-
advance, just on the record as saying yuck.
Yes, roll me a Constitution saving throw.
Sorry, who's rolling?
You
on save?
first. Everyone will be, but you first. As they start moving around you, they start spitting these things, firing them up in the air, and they arc over towards you. As they move around you on all fours, their mouths distended a little as they open. 14 is a make. This blob flies down. It hits you, maybe on a piece of your armor, on your shield. You see it kind of burn a little bit, like an acid. And you get the smell of bile, like stomach acid. These things are firing kind of a noxious stomach acid towards you. Fix, can you roll me 2 Constitution saving throws, please?
15 and 21.
21. You as well, kind of avoiding these things. They might land on you. You might actually feel bits of this kind of acid hitting you on the skin, or maybe it hits some of your covered or gauntleted areas on your body. You see it smoke, it stinks, it's disgusting, but none of it catching any of your skin. As these things begin to move around you again. Can I get one from fire? Constitution saving throw.
Oof.
5 is a fail. You are hit by this thing, and you take 5 acid damage. As this thing strikes you, this glob of stomach acid hits you, burning your skin. The stench of it is awful, and then it mixes with the stench of your own flesh as you wipe quickly away some of this acid. It dies down to a dull ache, your skin raw and red where it hit. Let's see who's next. And then Merlin, roll me 2 Constitution saving throws, please. Is that correct? Or are we on 1? Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, just the 1.
You kidding?
Oh my god.
Both natural ones, but luckily there is actually only
Can
one
I
of them.
use shield?
You cannot
it's
because
only
this
one?
is a save.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just
Oh,
one of the
phew.
2.
Okay, all right.
But dex saves or con saves and stuff, shield is for boosting your AC. So you will also be hit, struck, or maybe just a piece of it hits you, catches you on your arm or on a leg as you feel this burning acid catch you. Again, that horrible stench, but you only take 1 acid damage. The creatures continue to move around you. You hear them kind of chittering under their breaths, these kind of glottal noises coming from them quietly as they seem to be communicating in some strange way, but again, not really speaking like a person might. Okay. Brings us to Fix.
I'm gonna run in front of Merlin, stand between him and the monster, and then hex an Eldritch Blast. So I'm hexing the yellow one in front of me. For wisdom.
Or Wisdom.
It's a 17 on the Eldritch Blast.
Eldritch Blast 17 is a hit.
The 7 damage and
7.
2 necrotic.
And 2 necrotic damage. Yes, this Eldritch Blast launches forward. The one with the coin in its head is slapped. The coin flying away from it, rolling across the floor. For a moment, it's distracted by the coin more than the attack, before turning its face back to you, its eyes wide, jaw kind of slack. They don't really have expressions on them like anger or anything like that, but they have these slack, loose faces. Now that you get close to them, you can see that they have large mouths, and though when they opened them, you could see that they would stretch very wide. When closed, you can see these very thin lips that run almost up to their ears, which are pointed a little at the ends. Their thin, strange, long bodies don't really represent anything or any species you might have met before, but they have the nose of almost like a pig, upturned, and then these bright green eyes staring at you. Again, no real expression, just kind of loose and hanging, but it's fixated itself on you. What do you do next?
I turn to Merlin, say, Merlin, fall back as far as you can.
He gives her a nod.
That's it. End my turn.
Okay. Brings us to Will.
Okay, I assume this yellow one is the one that gunked me, right?
The yellow one is the one that gunked you, yes.
Okay. I'm trying to gauge their range. It looks like they can pelt us from as far away as they want. So I'm going to move up here. Block off Merlin and fire. And I'm gonna hurl a javelin at the yellow one here right in front of me.
Okay. Give me the attack roll. A
That is a
9
9.
is unfortunately a miss. This javelin launched through the air. You hear it strike the bricks and area behind where the pale one is moving towards you. It dodges quite quickly, deftly, for the first time making a little sound, a crack appearing in the dirt underneath its feet as it moves to dodge out of the way of this thing. The javelin hitting the rocks and bricks in the distance.
You know, after watching like 5 nat 1s in a row, I should have known better than to do something that made me roll dice.
The 20 is on my side tonight.
Yeah. I don't think I have much else to help with these guys, so I'll just end my turn there.
All right, Merlin.
All right, I'm gonna do another set of Scorching Ray. So, on the pink, the red, and purple.
Okay.
This has a range of 120,
Yep.
so I should be able to get them all. All right, 1, 2, 3. Where were these rolls
Jeez,
when
Jeez,
What the
Merlin.
hell,
26
man?
natural
Holy-
27 and 24 crit 27 there. So roll roll your damage. So the first one to the pink one, which was already hit by one of your scorching rays, takes another 3 damage. Then the red one behind it takes 16 damage. Is that from the crit? That one is engulfed in flame for a moment as you see it hit. It doesn't make any noise, but there's a whistling sound as some of the fungus and the moss catches fire very quickly on its back. Its eyes widen and it begins to pat at its body, rolling around on the ground, the crumbling and cracked parts of the fissure next to it falling in, creating a lot more noise than they've been making so far. It stands back up, partially kind of crackling and burning in places, very damaged. And then the one behind it hit by the last Scorching Ray for 11 damage, as that one too is hit for a pretty huge amount of damage, the two of them burning for a moment before jumping back up. Slacked faces, but moments while it was burning and stuff where it had kind of a look of frustration, not really even pain, I would say. What else would you like to do? You can still move and bonus action.
Yeah, I am definitely gonna try and push the yellow one into the hole too if I can. Although it's only 5 feet, but I'll give him a push. I'll use telekinetic on him.
Okay, push him backwards 5?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, you do so. You see it kind of squirming as it is pushed backwards by your telekinetic force before it lets go, and it continues to move cautiously around where you are. Let's see here.
And I will also take a few steps back.
Yes. Fire scrambling to pick up the bow. The strange cackling of your brother disappearing with the scorching rays and sounds of people moving around you. But you're able to recover and do whatever you want to do now.
I'm shaken up by all of that. I just failed and my bow went flying and I grabbed my bow and then I hurt my brother, and I'm just gonna pop up and take a shot at the yellow one here, and I'm gonna do sharpshooter, probably just because I'm less accurate but more angry.
Yes.
So so it's
Sharpshooter,
minus
13.
5 for that.
It's already on
Or
it,
wait.
right? Yeah.
Oh, does it already do it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit. Well then, yeah.
Did
13.
it up. So you've got a 13, which is a hit.
Whoop.
That's gonna hurt.
Yes. How do you kill it?
You just see Fire frantic and a little flustered, and she just pops up and kind of mad, just almost looks like it won't hit, and then just probably just in the collarbone, not like a headshot or anything fancy.
Yeah. The arrow flying forward strikes this thing, and it's taken enough damage now that you see that it's hit, and it falls to one side. Its body begins to bubble and melt, starting at the center where its stomach might be. You see the skin peel back as bubbling begins to happen here. The skin falling in on itself, and then that same acidic, noxious goop starts to pour upwards and out of its body, taking over the flesh and the fungus and the moss and spreading out in a pool of kind of watery bile. It is now
that was
on
gross.
1 HP.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh, why you do this, Brad?
It begins to move across the ground towards you.
Oh no.
The bile taking on a form of its own, leaving some parts of the pale one behind. But the bile, the water, begins to move and almost slowly at first, but picking up speed like a snake shifting across the ground. What else would you like to do? It's still your turn.
I'll just see this happening, and I'll just put my hand and try to reach for Merlin, and just I'll probably take a step here and just put my hand on Merlin. Just make sure I got him.
Okay.
And that's my turn.
The thing that is moving across the ground, let's see which one of you two it wants, moves towards you, Will. Let me read what this does.
Oh no. Things you never want to hear your DM say.
Oh, I misread it. It's fine. It moves over this way, and probably moves kind of under this brick or behind this brick a little bit, somewhat out of sight from you, as it moves around and away from you. A pile of its remains behind, burning, but the watery, biley substance moving by itself towards this brick. The other creatures continue to move around you, if they can. The pink one moves to there. I think it was there, right? The next one will move up next to that. These two flaming ones that we're not having a great time move up here. And then this one remains there, probably maybe just moving around in a strange way. So the remaining ones are moving around you again, but then you hear that horrible sound of a stomach bubbling up to fire one of these horrible acidic things at each of you. We'll start with, we'll go from top down. So Merlin, the one that targets you, will be the pink one. Give me a Constitution saving throw again, please. Natural one again.
What the
Amazing.
heck? It's the same. Oh, I am cursed.
Ow, you get hit square in the chest this time. It burns through some of your clothing, pushing you backwards as this acid hits you, splatting, bits of it flying off, burning parts of your face, parts of your arm.
Owie.
And you take 5 acid damage. And then a con save from Will.
Sure thing. A 21.
21 is a make. It slides
I'm sturdy
over.
lad.
2 con saves from Fix.
15 and 9.
The 9 is a fail. You are struck by the acidious blob, this stinking bile. As it hits you, it deals 3 acid damage to you, burning your skin, and then 1 from fire, please.
Wait, I hellish rebuke the one who hit me.
Okay.
Heck you, buddy.
Hellish rebuke.
Dex save.
Dex save from the creature is a 22.
As always. Okay, well, it's still half damage. 19 fire, so
19
9.
fire, so 9 damage. I think it's 10 because we round up.
Oh, nice. All right, not arguing.
Yeah, the fire engulfs this thing once more. It screeches in a very strange guttural way. The face distorts for a moment. As it comes back, there's very little to it. Its skin is falling off its body, charred and burnt. One of its ears completely missing. The stench coming off of this thing is wild. You can see bits of bile falling out from its stomach and hitting the ground, mixing with the burnt smell of flesh, fire, fungus. It is still alive, however. And then
Which
I
one was
rolled a
that
4.
that just took all that damage?
that was the purple one
Okay.
down here. And then fire 1 Constitution saving throw, which was a 4. You also take the hit here of the full 6 acid damage as one of these things is hurled upwards and over this wall. It's kind of hard to make out where they're going to land at first, and this one comes down, maybe hits the wall and then just explodes. All of this acid hitting you, some running up the side of your face, down your arms, across your chest, as it burns your body in several places, doing 6 acid damage. Let's see here. Stepping out from behind the rock is a reformed, but barely reformed looking creature, standing up and immediately reforming flesh over this watery bile. You see this thing growing as another part made pale one grows out of the bile and the water of its body, or not of its body, from behind that rock. And he is back, and he gets to do nothing. Okay. Pix's turn.
Point straight at the one that's just stepped out again and blast him again.
Okay.
Or attempt to. Oh, it's a 26, natural 20.
A natural 20. Give me the damage.
11 plus.
Yes. This thing partially reforming and trying to step towards you is hit by an eldritch blast. You see the necrotic damage spread across its body as it is launched backwards. It hits the wall and explodes into that water again. It runs down the wall, burning some of the stone as a puddle reforms at the bottom of the wall. Bringing us... No, we're not bringing us to Will's turn because it's still your turn. What else do you want to do?
Is it still alive then?
It is alive. It's on 1 HP in its watery form.
This is the yellow one again?
Yes.
Interesting.
Pick a target, focus it down. They're reconstructing themselves.
I just did. That one's been hit twice. It's got back up twice. We need to try something else. I turn to Merlin and shout, "Fire!" And that's the end of my turn.
Yes.
Okay, Will's turn.
What did she? Oh,
I just yelled fire. I looked at Merlin and yelled fire.
Oh. Nope.
I'm going to walk up to this one that got blasted by the hellish rebuke and try swinging at this one with a booming blade.
Okay.
And that is a 22.
22 is a hit. I think you probably cleave it in half. It explodes into a bunch of that water. As you cut it in half, the water running down its legs and spilling out over the ground. The top half of it falling and then rolling over, its kind of flesh remaining for a moment. The bottom part of its body turning into that water, and you see the water moving towards each other as the thing begins to regrow. I would imagine though that that the booming blade is on it, so yeah, it still
Absolutely
retains it. But if it dies, and then if it had technically died and come back, it wouldn't, right? But
I-
doesn't. So
I have no idea how you want to rule it, but
yeah,
yes,
I'm just trying to work it out in my head. But yeah, I think it's still got
targeting it with booming blades so that if it moves, even if it's already theoretically dead, I'm hoping that when it tries to reform, it'll explode and take that thunder damage.
Yes.
Also, since it's down and cut in half, I'm going to step into its space so I can get in swinging range of this orange one and then end my turn here. Can I do that? Or
You can. It's like a bunch of acid on the ground, though.
Is this acid stuff everywhere or just like specifically right here in the space where this thing died?
It's kind of everywhere, but there's like a bucket's worth of acid that you would have to step into to get into that space. It's like moving around. Think like Venom or T-1000, like it's doing that all over that area, coming back together. It's a pretty decent amount.
Okay, that being the case, I'll just stay put then. I'll pick my javelin back up off the floor and end my turn.
Okay, Merlin.
Alright, so Merlin's gonna step in front of fire, and then for the last time going to be casting a Scorching Ray on let's go for the yellow, pink, and red one.
Okay.
Alright, here we go.
Scorching Ray is fire damage. Don't know why that didn't twig.
So the one that hits the yellow one is currently this watery bile. You hit it and it burns away a lot of it. The watery bile stuff stops moving and begins to kind of just float away from itself. It melts into itself and becomes little more than just a pool of smoking acid. The pink one is an 11, so that one misses as the Scorching Ray probably hits the ground behind where this creature is. And then the red one is a hit, and you deal 7 damage to that one, which reduces it to that pool of water and bile again. You see it hit this creature, it falls down, and then that bile bursts out of its stomach, eats its own flesh to a degree, and then begins to move around of its own volition.
Okay, yeah, I end my turn there too.
Okay, Fire's turn.
I will take a shot at the pink one.
Okay.
I don't feel very confident about killing it with my bow, but
Yes, you miss. It flies past this thing, which is already dodging out of the way of a fiery, scorching ray, and the arrow ding, hits the ground behind it. Doing anything else?
I just sheepishly step back a little bit.
Okay.
That's it.
The pale one's turns is the one. I think now this one comes rushing towards you, Fire, suddenly moving quicker than you were maybe expecting. It rushes at you. It leaps at you now with bile pouring out of wounds, smoke coming from the Scorching Ray, and it is going to attempt to scratch you on a 24.
Yeah, that'll hit.
Are you asking?
That'll do 4 slashing damage. Listen, people can do all sorts of things. I ask whether it hits because who knows? You can do all sorts of bullshit in D&D, and I've given up trying to follow
I
it.
assume that was to me because you said fire, but then you put
Sorry,
it next
Fix.
to me.
Yes,
Yeah.
I made a rule many games ago not to have someone have 2 characters with the same first letter, and you two have the same first 2 letters, which is awful. I forgot about my own rule when we were making characters. So you take 4 slashing damage, Fix, as it jumps at you and scratches at you, catching your arm, just opening you up with these horribly long black claws that feel like razors as they hit you. It jumps off of you again, but looks as if it's kind of doing a strange maneuver. As it jumped onto you, the claws dealt the damage, and it jumps off again, turning as if it's going to jump back up once more. The one that was reduced to its liquid form moves away to over where the yellow one was, and begins to reform back up into its usual form. The one in front of you, Will, which is barely even bile at this point, attempts to move and is just obliterated. All of this magic from the booming blade. Does it create sound as well when this happens?
Oh yes, absolutely. It's like a sonic boom, thunder crash sound when it tries to move, and then
Yeah, the sound echoes off of the walls in this cave. There's a bunch of rumbling and crumbling as the roof above you vibrates. Lots of little bits of sand and dirt and rock falling down around you. It falls into the crevice. Some of the bricks fall out of the walls, but it's not like falling in on you or anything, but it's a sudden rumble to the area around you, and you permanently kill this one. The other one, however, will do the same thing as it did at Fix, as it tries to jump towards you with those claws launching suddenly at you like a monkey. You probably just bat it out of the way with a shield as it dong, you kind of hit this thing. It falls to the ground, rolls over, coming back to its arms and legs again as if it's going to jump back at you. And then if you could make me a Constitution saving throw, as the one which is still across the crevice over there fires one of those acidic balls at you. That is a make, yes. The acidic ball landing behind you and burning up the ground behind where you are stood, bringing us to Fix's turn.
Oh, the yellow one did die. Okay.
The yellow one is fully dead. Yes.
That confused me.
The only way to know if
Sorry.
they're fully dead is if they have an X through them.
Yes, I didn't realize that. Alright. I'm
You
gonna...
hear that, audio listeners? Carry on.
I'm gonna bonus action hex the orange one next to Will.
Okay.
And then whilst trying to fend off the one that's on me, I'm gonna fire an Eldritch Blast at the orange one.
Okay. Give me the attack roll. Were you hexing wisdom again?
Strength. I don't know what I hex on these things. I don't think it matters.
Okay.
23.
23 is a
The
hit.
Eldritch Blast. It's 5 plus 3.
8 damage to this one. Yeah, it's like bouncing around. Will hits it with a shield. It lands. It gets hit by a set of force, and it kind of moves around you, Will, trying to get a vantage on whatever is hitting it from the other side, but doesn't see Fix because I'm assuming Eldritch Blast is mostly invisible. Anything else? Movement?
Nope.
Okay, Will's turn.
Okay, well, since this thing is hexed and it would be a shame to waste it, I'm going to attempt to grapple it.
Okay. Yes. I think you have to give me an athletics check. Ow! Natural 1. I will roll a dex.
Actually,
check
I
for
could
it.
still win if this thing gets a lower than 6.
It's true. No, I'm going to say you trip. Give me a dexterity saving throw.
Well, with the way the rolls were today, I suppose my nat 1 was overdue.
A 9. You go to grab this thing and it moves so quickly. The way they've been moving is very cautiously, and as you go to run for it, it moves in a way that is so awkward. You stumble a little bit. The ground underfoot is softer than you expect. There's a crack that opens up, and you also trip somewhat over the creature as you go to grab at it, and you stumble closer to the edge. I'm simply going to move you to here, but it does consume your action to attempt and fail the grapple.
Okay, am I prone or am I simply moved 2 spaces?
No, you just stumbled forward. Yep.
Okay, well, I will then use 10 feet of movement to go here and then back to this side.
Yep.
Because screw that, I'm not staying over there.
Yeah.
And I will glare at it angrily and end my turn.
Okay, Merlin's turn.
Nuisance.
Okay, I would assume Merlin's eyes would be fixed on the pale one near Fix, so he's going to pull that Staff of Necrosis and attempt to blast it.
Okay.
14,
14's a hit.
11 necrotic.
How do you kill it?
Oh, okay, well, I guess, well, it like emits some sort of like acid reflex, and I guess because, well, let's just say we got a chemistry class experiment going on here, and it's an absolute disaster for the Pale One, and it looks like it's being consumed from within by acid. This is probably not a very pleasant sight.
It is an awful sight and a terrible smell, absolutely awful, as this thing is melted from the inside by all of the spell, by the acid of itself, and it turns into the biley, watery mess, for a moment sitting still before slowly beginning to come together again. This one is water mode, water bile mode. Still your turn. Do you want to move? You've got a bonus action you can use.
I think I might be good where I am. I'll end my turn there.
Fire's turn.
I'm gonna pop up and take a shot at the blue one.
Okay.
$18.
18's a hit.
Boop.
11 damage. Yes, you fire a perfect shot at this creature, striking it in the chest. It stumbles backwards with this arrow sticking all the way out of its back because they're so small and thin. It's badly hurt, but doesn't die or turn into its little watery acid form.
Fire just kind of looks around a little bit, like I don't know what to do because I feel like I'm just whittling them down until they can kill them for real. So
yes,
that's my turn.
Exactly what you are doing. The one in front of you will attempt to jump at you again on a 20. Remember what your AC is.
Yeah, that'll hit.
Okay, it's going to scratch you now. It finally launches up at you as you're kind of moving around it awkwardly. Again, it moves very quickly, and before you know it, it's behind you. As you turn, it jumps up, the claws scratching at whatever part of you might be exposed, dealing 7 slashing damage, opening a pretty nasty wound on your body. It kind of awkwardly moves behind you as I need Fix to roll me a Constitution saving throw.
17.
A 17 is a make from the blue one over the way, and a globule of acid appears. The one in front of you begins to reform again, and it's going to move away from you, however. The one which is already partially reformed, can it get near anyone? No. I guess it would probably just start doing the weird strafing thing that they do. And let's have Fire give me a Constitution saving throw as it launches an acidic ball towards you. This is the red one. 7. You're going to get hit by another ball of acid. As you fumble with the bow and feel awkward in this area, these things which normally to kill a man, it's very simple. You just fire an arrow through their chest with perfect and pinpoint accuracy, but these things elude your usual tactics. And this one fires a ball of acid, striking you again, burning your skin. And that, I believe, is the end of their turns. Bringing us to Fix.
Yep, I blast the orange one again.
Okay.
A 17.
17's a hit.
12 plus 1.
So close, yet so far. You blast this thing, an arm is ripped from its body, dripping acid and bile out along with some sort of deep, dark blood. The arm launching off from one side, it spins the thing around in front of you, Will, but it isn't reduced to its like melted form, even though parts of its skin around the arm begin to erode and melt. A terrible stench directly underneath you. Still your turn, Fix.
That's it. End my turn.
All right, Will.
I think there's a brief moment where I reach towards it again in frustration and then just No. You know what? We're gonna stick with what works, and I'm gonna try and smack this one again with booming blade.
Okay.
An 11.
11 is a miss. The sword flying over the top of this thing's head as it does a kind of strange backwards maneuver, its body bending under its weight at an awkward angle, and then it kind of turns under itself, landing on 2 legs and 1 arm as the sword flies over its head. Very quick maneuver.
Now you're just cheating. I'm going to step around it and continue the weird ballerina move of circling around each other, and then my turn on this side.
All right, brings us to Merlin.
Okay, I'm gonna use the Staff of Necrosis on the. Oh, okay. Looks like the pink one's still.
Pink one is still in watery mode. Yes.
Okay. Well, time to put it down if I can. All right. 21.
21's a hit. You
8 necrotic.
launch this necrotic arcane energy at this puddle, which is beginning to reform into one of these creatures before it is hit by this wave of energy. The water rushing up, partially hitting the wall behind it, and the acid stops moving as you permanently kill this one.
Nice.
Do anything else?
I know Will is dancing around that other pale one, but I kind of want to push it.
Push it.
Can I push it? Okay,
I'm attempt to push it, yeah.
I'm gonna push it.
What is the check I need to make? Strength?
Yeah, hold on. Let me,
Strength, yes. And it has to
Okay,
be
yeah.
at 15. 6 is a fail. Where do you push it? Away from Will, like over there?
Yeah, towards the hole, yeah.
All right. And then it's Fire's turn.
Pop up and take a shot at the blue boy.
All right. Give me that attack roll.
20.
20's a hit.
10.
Wow,
Damage.
amazing. Again, that's the 3rd time you guys have reduced one of these to just 1 hit point before it turns into the mush. And
You did just. Can you go back and just say good job? You got a 20.
I will say this much: you're looking very fire frustrated.
I'm quitting. This is
Is
my
that
last
even
episode
worse?
of the campaign.
The
I'm so
arrow
sorry.
flies towards this thing. Probably does that really awesome thing where it like hits the same area, like kind of almost exactly like 2 perfect shots that strike this thing in the chest where its heart should be, and it stumbles backwards with these 2 arrows sticking out of almost exact same area before beginning to move forward again, coughing up that horrible guttural noise like it's going to spit another glob of acid over towards you all.
That's my turn.
All right. And it's going to do it. Give me a Constitution saving throw, please, Merlin, because this one is coming towards you. 19 is a make.
my
It
God, yeah.
launches over the top of your head, acid spilling across the ground behind you. The one rushing at Will get hit. There's another rumble as the booming blade goes off. Right? You did a booming blade on this one.
I missed.
Oh, you missed. So it doesn't. So it's just going to jump at you.
If-
Yes.
If
Okay.
the booming blade had connected, then
Yeah, it
Merlin
would've
had
done
a
it.
genius idea.
23, another hit, unless you do any bullshit. I can't remember what you do, if you can. You have interception and stuff. I can't remember how it works, so it's on you.
No, that'll hit too. I think that's too high for me to shield it anyway.
It jumps on you, both sides of its hands jumping onto your chest and puncturing through your armor and leathers and clothing. These little blades sticking into your chest for 9 slashing damage. It jumps off of you again, ripping them out and landing here. And then the red one will rush towards you, Vix, and attempt to do the same. Partially reformed, it jumps at you. Maybe you duck out of the way. On an 8, it misses. It jumps at you. You moving. It's kind of slower. It's not moving as quickly. It's not fully formed. You see the little blades for claws jumping towards you, but it lands awkwardly next to you instead. That is the end of the pale one's turn, bringing us to Fix's turn.
Yep. It's gonna blast the orange one again. I just say, "Will, duck!" and fire an Eldritch Blast.
Okay.
Nope, it doesn't hit Will in the back of the head. It's a
Does
16.
not. It hits the creature, and the creature is exploded into acid. Will maybe bringing a hand up as acid just kind of spills out of this very wounded creature. The water and bile hitting the ground are beginning to come together and reform itself again right in front of you, Will. Still Fix's turn.
Yeah, just yell, finish it!
All right, Will.
And then that's it.
How many pieces is this thing in?
It's like someone threw a bucket of like custard at the floor or something like that. But green and bile and stinking.
I've had about enough of this. I'm gonna cast Thunderwave on this stupid thing.
Okay.
And obliterate it in every direction possible.
Yes.
With Thunderwave.
Yeah, it does that. Like the acid and bile and liquid is just sent everywhere around you, launched away from you, flying into the bits of wall and brick of the Winter Hall here as you permanently destroy this pale one. There is 2 left.
I will step back here and end my turn next to this one.
Okay. There is that is Merlin's turn.
This staff of necrosis has really been my best friend. Arias, you ain't getting this back. I'm sorry. 11.
Glad you like this very evil staff. 11 is actually a miss. Which one are you aiming for?
Oh, right. I didn't even say. Oops. I
Okay.
guess the red one.
The one right in front of you. Yeah, the one lands
Yeah.
kind of next to you. And you, as you go to fire this staff, maybe there's a moment where you hear a thunder rumble again from Will. It shakes the cave you're in, dirt and rocks falling down from the ceiling as you just launch this thing wide of where the creature is standing. Will turns and begins to run up towards where you are, but unfortunately you just about miss this thing as it starts to reform again in front of you. Want to do anything else?
Yeah, no. I think I end my turn.
Fire's turn.
I am going to assume that Will has that one. Probably. And I don't want to run up and have, yeah. I'll shoot another shot at the blue one.
All right. Give me the attack roll.
Please. Please, please. 18.
18 hits. You only have to deal 1 damage. You hit it and it falls backwards, an arrow between its eyes. As it hits the ground, the 2 arrows are pushed out of its stomach, followed by a bunch of bile, and it begins to eat itself with its own bile and then reform across the fissure and the hole between you all, bringing it to its turn, in which it simply fully reforms. And the one next to Will and Fix, let's roll to see what he's going to do. He is going to attempt to scratch at Fix again, jumping at you, leaping quickly up towards you on a natural 1. Roll me a d20, Fix.
Another nat 1, 8.
An 8. He jumps at you. You move out of the way. It hits and collides with this wall behind you, falling backwards and rolling over. It is now prone, which means melee attacks have advantage on it.
Yes.
It's your turn.
Yeah, I was just seeing if I had anything worth using melee, but I think I'll leave that to Will. I just kind of lock eyes with Will. I think we both understand what's happening there. And then I turn and hex the blue one and fire at that one.
Okay. Give me the attack roll on that.
24.
There is just another kind of dispersal of this bile and liquid as the one that's across the fissure is reduced to bits of non-moving acidic water. And you permanently kill the one that's away from where you guys are. And it's the end of your turn?
Yep.
All right, Will, your turn.
You're pretty much simultaneous with that other one getting blown up. I'm gonna try and stab this one on the ground and somehow manage to fail despite it being prone. As I've rolled a 1. I've rolled a 1 and a 4.
All right, give me a d20.
I had advantage, so only the 10 would have counted.
Oh, okay.
Unless-
Yeah. Sorry, you are correct. 10 is a miss. You stab down at this thing, and the watery, acidy bile opens to create a hole. You hit nothing but the ground. Ding.
I'd like to look up. First, back get fixed, but then just kind of to the whole party and just kind of... just throw my hands up in frustration and end my turn.
Merlin, is your turn.
Rough day. I will attempt with the staff of necrosis. Sorry, I couldn't English in that moment. 21.
21's a hit.
On the red one, 10 necrotic.
10 necrotic damage as you strike this thing, destroying it. I think it's in its physical form, actually. So the part made acid physical form is reduced to water by your staff of necrosis, which brings us to Fire, who, if she can deal 1 damage to this creature,
can she even deal damage to it in its liquid form?
she technically actually has. No, she doesn't. Let's find out. What do you do?
I just slowly walk up to it and just jump on it like it's a fucking puddle. I'm out. I quit. I'm out of ideas. I can't, I don't know what to do.
Jump on it like a puddle.
I'm just
and
mad.
Deal 1 damage to it. And you kill it. You completely kill the thing. However, you jumped into a puddle of acid, so roll me a Constitution saving throw.
But I have cool boots. My boots are really cool.
Not anymore. You haven't got any boots. They're gone.
Oh no!
10. A 10 is a fail. So not only does this burn away,
this is my last episode. I'm so sorry.
not only does this burn
has to
your
end this
boots,
way.
but you jump into this thing. The acid launches up, and you see that it stops moving, and then there is a sudden smell, and then a pain from the soles of your feet, as you take 1 damage on each foot, and the soles of your boots are gone. You just have shoes that come down slightly over the top of your feet right now. And you have won the battle. And that is where we're going to go to our break for the evening. Thank you so much for tuning in to the first half of Mistlight here. We will be giving away 2 copies of the book that I always have prepared right next to me to show off, because I got so many of them. What book is it? That's right. Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. At the end of this episode, 2 winners drawn from the Discord competition. So if you've entered into that, then we'll see you at the end of the show. Don't miss it. But we're going to go on a short break now. And when we return, we will see what these guys do after finishing the fight with the Pale Ones as they continue through the ruins of Winter Hall. Thanks so much for watching. See you in 5. Welcome back to part 2 of tonight's Mistlight. You each step back from the chaos in this place. There is a rumbling in this hall, or this cave, or this ruin. The area where the creatures came from falls silent. The acid that was inside of them is all just dripping and sitting there wet, but not moving, not reforming anything. There's a moment where you check just to ensure that nothing is coming at you. Fix, you'll notice that Vita is still acting frantically.
Damn it.
What would you guys like to do next?
Is everybody alright?
I'm great. And I am just like removing gross bile from my face and body.
Merlin's probably doing the same, just cleaning off any bile
let me
that's on him.
rephrase the question, since I imagine everyone is grossed out. Are you able to continue, or is anyone grievously injured?
I'm fine.
Well, I don't know about fire. She literally stepped in a puddle of acid.
You know, I tripped and
it almost looked like you did that on purpose. The thing where you
it
jumped
almost looked
into
like
acid.
you tossed the coin in there on purpose, luring them all out.
I mean, it wasn't my idea.
Didn't hear any objections from you when we did so.
Well, it's a shame those things ended up being hostile, because
I jumped into a puddle of acid, so I don't know if we should trust my judgment on decision making.
Fair enough.
I can't blame you. They were quite frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can't help but wonder if the coin I threw landed on that one's forehead. See how it's embedded? Because I honestly feel kind of bad. Like, I would have climbed up it.
And have a look at it closer to see if it's the same coin.
It's the same coin, but it's like partly melted with the acid. That's how strong it was.
Like, if I were them, I would have climbed up here and attacked us too after that. Got hit from a coin from hundreds of feet up.
It must have been very far down. I mean, we watched it for a while.
That's true.
They got up here pretty fast.
They did climb up very fast. I wonder if they're just incredibly fast climbers, or if they know something we don't.
Or what if they all just live like 2 feet down and we just didn't notice them all clinging?
Well, we watched my coin drop well over 100 feet before it vanished into the dark.
Yeah, maybe it vanished into that guy's head. I don't know. I don't want to think about them being very fast.
Did they make any noise?
Mm-hmm. It was like...
Skittering.
Mm-hmm. I thought
The
it was
bottoms
just...
of your shoes gone.
You know, I misplaced them. It seems I misplaced them. It would be so nice if somebody, you know, maybe there's a wizard that knows how to fix them up.
Unfortunately, I'm not a wizard that's, well, able to mend. Believe it or not.
Hold on. I'm gonna open my bag and produce a pair of what would be like loafers, or just like really casual house shoes, and pull those out. Well, there's an offer for you. They're probably too big, but
Those should do just fine.
better than walking around barefoot in here and getting this slime and crap on your feet.
I'm gonna slip my foot with my boot that's missing the bottom into the shoe. So I'm wearing it's like a boat shoe hybrid now, and they're way too big. And I just,
Oh, I mean, it's a good
I've
job
had
it's
it.
dark around here all the time. So no one will notice.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are worse fates in life than having to borrow a pair of shoes for a day. We'll be fine. I'll pack up my bag and pick it back up. Okay. Onward then.
Onward.
There is a very clear exit ahead of you, and once you move on, there's a few more weak-looking areas of stability that you avoid as you head towards the exit of the Winter Hall. And you step out from the Winter Hall, and you find yourselves in a wild and overgrown graveyard. Ancient stones that stretch out for maybe miles. Little stones, tombs, rough ideas of gravestones littering the area. It's very tangled and overgrown with these dark bushes and curling trees. There are graves upon graves, all different shapes and sizes. Beyond your eyesight, they stretch outwards. As you look out amongst them, you see these pale figures walking between them, momentary glimpses of the dead, specters and ghosts appearing, walking and then disappearing. Hundreds of people glittering in and out of existence. You see humans, you see tieflings, there are gnomes, there are elves, drow, there are dwarves, there is people here who look like capfolk, there are people here who look like they might be Goliaths or even full-blooded giants stepping around this place. They're barely visible. They come in flits, white and blue. But Will, one area here maybe draws your attention immediately away from these harmless dead, and ahead of you, maybe about 30 feet from where you stand, there is a moss-covered headstone. Next to it, you can see the bones of an arm stretching up. As you focus on it, you can see that this is a headless skeleton lying amongst some of these graves. And you know this suddenly, as if recalling a memory of being here once before, a sudden deja vu that's overwhelming, maybe turns your stomach for a moment. Beside this skeletal figure is a very square and plain looking gravestone, the type of thing you might have quickly dragged from nearby as opposed to had made. The simple looking gravestone is the final burial place of Eldering Greymane, and the skeleton is a man known as Nathan Silvertongue. And for a fleeting moment you see them both standing there, Nathan holding a wounded Eldarin, an older looking man, strong looking, grey hair, but his eyes are missing, the area around them blackened from a recent attack. As your vision of this takes over for a moment, engulfing and swarming the area, the mist around you begins to thicken, but you focus on this scene that's being depicted in front of you. You can see blood running now in colour from a wound in the side of his head, from a wound in his abdomen, the type of wound that you might have seen before, gouts of blood that no healer could stop. You can see this figure that you know to be Nathan standing beside him. He's in much better shape, but he's panicked and wild, looking around him. This man is a much younger man with colour to his hair, but his clothing is relatively strange, an odd fashion that you might not have seen on anybody in recent years. But they resemble that of
it?
No, it's just an odd looking set of clothing that looks very dated. That being said, he has the stance and the weapons of a warrior, maybe a mercenary. You can see that he's got a sword at his hip and it's broken, snapped into two pieces. The end of the blade missing. Moments later, there is a fleeting image of him overlaid amongst this one, of the two of them panicking. For a moment, you feel that turning sensation in your stomach, the mist thickening around this vision of these people. This is much clearer than the visions that you've had of them before. You've seen these two walking down the street arm in arm. You saw a different figure with a barbarian before in Kull, but this vision becomes very real for a moment around you. You see the man digging at the area in front of where this square-looking gravestone is. He's got a poor-looking makeshift shovel, and moments later he faces away from you, the shard of his sword above him, that turning feeling in your stomach as he's running forward, the broken shard of his sword rushing out in front of him as he fights an invisible foe. And then you feel a strange sensation, that turning sensation that maybe almost causes you to throw up, as his head disappears, removed from his body, as if bitten clean off, and his body falls to the ground. The sword falls into the dirt nearby, and these visions vanish from your view, and the headless skeleton among the gravestones remains. The rest of you witness none of this. You simply see the ghosts of so many moving and flitting in and out of this place, and the further you look, like stars they become on the darkness ahead.
The rest of you see that?
Ghost.
No, the two that were there a moment ago.
No. Can't say I did.
Here lies Eldarin Greymane. That one.
Is it unmarked, Taz?
When you get closer to it, you can see that the gravestone itself is unmarked in the sense that it has no etchings or carvings on it. But it does have two bloody handprints on it. Old and brown, but they should have long since wasted away by the rain. They remain quite clearly, clear to your eyes at least. Beside the gravestone, there are also several things, most of it overgrown mosses and fungus of the area, that sort of dark-looking grass covering and growing through the skeletal remains. There is things that were here once. There's a thing that resembles what was probably once a leather satchel, covered in moss and mold. You can see straight through it. It's eaten and broken through age. There are oxidized iron items, things that have rusted away into oblivion, papers and books that have turned to sort of dust. But one thing remains relatively well preserved. There's a scroll or a rolled piece of paper that's sitting on top of everything, as if left undisturbed, or maybe placed there more recently.
This body here minus the head. This would be one Nathan. He lost his head while trying to bury the other.
That's what you saw.
Yes.
Well,
They made it this far, both of them alive. They were panicked by something. What killed Eldarin, I couldn't tell you. I didn't see it. And then when Nathan took the time to bury him, he paid for it with his life. He didn't get a burial. I'll nudge the body on the ground with my foot. He was just left up here to rot.
Poor guy.
Question is, what drove the both of them to come all this way?
And why is Arias so interested in them?
Definitely say some more practical questions also come to mind, like why would Nathan stay here and take the trouble to bury Eldarin despite where he was? I'm all for honoring the dead, but sticking around in a place like this.
Perhaps Eldarin had some connection to the village, or...
If there was anyone else who was still alive here, you'd think they would have buried Nathan too, so I would suppose that by the time they got here, it was like this already, and they were the only two alive. Something came up and took Nathan's head, though. Literally.
a long time ago.
Hard to say how long.
I don't trust that. And I point towards the scroll. And I have a feeling that's maybe what Arias is after.
Probably. Although, I will look at the grave itself.
What are you looking for in particular, if anything?
I'm not looking for anything. I think it's just the rest of the party can see that I'm looking at the grave.
The two handprints on it are so strangely familiar to you. Hello, welcome back. I had a OBS malfunction, of course.
No, say what really happened.
Will
Will said he was gonna
suggested
dig up a body.
Digging up a body. And
Nick's had a point about the bad luck.
And unfortunately, OBS didn't like that plan. So, I apologize. But yes, you were standing in front of the grave. I believe you just mentioned that you were going to potentially dig up a body. And
Is the grave, is the casket or like the grave itself above ground, or would we have to actually like dig into the dirt to get to this guy?
yeah, you're standing on not even turned earth. This could just be anywhere. It's fully overgrown. Whatever was buried here, and including all of the graves around, they were buried a very long time ago. There's these, half of them are so time worn that they barely resemble their original shapes. A lot of them are simply just stones and maybe were in the first place, and you get the idea that there's probably a bunch of places here that are unmarked graves, whether they were marked at first or not. But yeah, this person was buried a very long time ago.
Okay. The bloody handprints, were those on the headstone itself, or the gravestone?
Yes.
Or...
So there is one particular stone here that you know to belong to Eldarin, that is kind of just a square of stone. It may even be one of the bricks from the Winter Hall that has been placed to mark this. On the dead center of the top, there is a bloodied handprint, and next to it, somewhat over the corner edge at the bottom corner, there is a second handprint. They do not look like the same handprint. One is smaller than the other, not by much, but they don't look like the same handprint.
I will take off my chainmail, gloves, and gauntlet and all that, and just hold my hand up next to each one and compare.
Mm-hmm. Not the same size. Not the same handprint as yours.
As either of them?
As either of them.
I don't know why these look so familiar. Not mine, at any rate.
Why would it be yours?
I don't know. But the way I'm randomly recognizing everything and sensing things, the crown, the visions, I'm just ruling out possibilities, is all.
I think Merlin would then take a particular interest into the scroll and start walking on all fours to maybe even sniff it before picking it up and revealing its secrets.
Hold that thought, Merlin.
Oh,
like
what?
as Merlin approaches it. Hold on. Just one other thing to do before you do that.
Okay.
I'll put the glove back on and stand up. Alright. And I'm going to use Divine Sense to see if there's any evil spirits, celestials, or other things hovering in the air right next to us, or maybe Eldarin himself, or anything weird like that.
Yeah, give me the blurb again.
Sure.
Precisely what we've got.
There you go.
The presence of strong evil registers on your senses. Powerful good rings like heavenly music. As an action, you can open your awareness to detect such forces. At the end of your next turn, you know the location of celestials, fiends, or undead within 60 feet of you. Is it the presence of any object that has been consecrated or desecrated? So, immediately, there is an overwhelming sense of undead. It goes off. It's almost like a probably like feedback. It would feel uncomfortable. However this registers to you would be extremely uncomfortable because of the amount of undead spirits, specters, ghosts, wraiths here. You do not get the sense of the undead creatures here being necessarily evil. They don't even seem to be registering any of your presences. At times they're walking through you, they appear next to you and disappear again, but they do not seem to see you whatsoever. They're aimlessly wandering around, and Will, you get that sense immediately as well that they are of no threat. They're barely even here. However, what is far more overwhelming to you is however the presence of evil registers on your senses. That sensation at this point might be enough to drive you to your knees as you are hit by an overwhelming sensation of evil that strikes you from every angle, from every part of the 60 feet or so that this sense can feel from. It almost invades you, and it's coming from the mist. You do not get the sense that it's a celestial or a fiend or an undead necessarily, though. It's just unbelievably overwhelming to take in such a feeling. But then, maybe as you're drawn to the ground or you stumble, you get the sensation of the stone in front of you, the headstone, the square one with the bloody handprints on it, being a place of consecrated ground or a singular light in the darkness. The two bloody handprints resonate in front of you, maybe glowing on top of this thing, and it is like a drop of water in the desert, but it maybe keeps you conscious from the overwhelming sensation of the mist itself.
Sure.
That would probably be it, apart from the ones that you know about with Fix, Vita, etc.
Right. Well, the rest of the party has seen me use this ability enough times that it's probably not going to catch any of them off guard. But I will, I kind of just suddenly stumble forward and and kind of collapse forward, and I'll grab onto that headstone and put my hands right where those handprints are.
Well,
And just hold on to it and see if anything happens.
No, but as the sense lessens your overwhelming sensation of it, it lessens with it as well, and the sensation of the consecrated stone and the handprints lessen with it but it maybe feels like an anchor to you for a moment as this divine sense dissipates.
Merlin.
I will not open the scroll.
On the contrary, I was going to ask you what it says.
Okay, if you insist. And then slowly, Merlin reveals the contents of the scroll.
Yeah, you feel this paper and it feels old to your hands. You maybe very cautiously roll the bottom of the paper down, and while it is extremely old, it has somehow survived the ages out here. And you can see that it's like a writ or a service of payment of some sort, very ancient looking. I will give you a handout, and if you scroll down on that handout, you can read what it says on there in a very, very old looking ink that's bled in many places into this very old looking vellum, and the wording is kind of old too. It's worded oddly, but it is in common.
Oh, well, this is what it reads. Service indebted to Eldarin Greymane for the price of 10 gold pieces to be paid in full to one Nathan Silvertongue. Accompaniment and protection on the road and beyond for 2 full weeks. Addendum. Upon completion of the destruction of the Child of Darkness, an extra 10 gold pieces shall be rewarded. Signed, Nathan Silvertongue and Eldarin Greymane. And signed witnesses at the village of Jairus. Marshal Edmund Dorston.
Hang on, how old is this?
It's quite worn. He hands the scroll to Will.
I'll take your word for it. Sorry, give me a sec.
I don't know why I assumed the Child of Darkness is something Arias had concocted. This clearly is... Well, I suppose we don't know how old Arias truly is, but... surely not this old.
Is Arias, I guess it's a dumb question. It looks like he shares the same ancestry as you. Tieflings don't live that long, right? Only elves.
Same as humans, I think.
Right.
But he's... You know, he was very old when I saw him first, and now he's much younger, so... Depends how long he's been doing that for.
It's true. His age may be more... flexible. Sorry, Oh man. I don't think I'm gonna use my senses again while I'm in this place. It's overpowering, malevolent, and malicious.
From what? The graveyard?
I opened my sixth sense to look around just in case. I don't know, I thought maybe the spirit of Eldarin might be hanging around here somewhere, and I wanted to check. The mist itself, it seeks our demise.
I mean...
Like the air itself wants to kill us.
It makes sense, doesn't it? If the thing you saw inside me is a denizen of the mist, and we know there's plenty more of them here.
The thing inside and around you is unpleasant, to be sure. But it's not overbearing and all-encompassing like this place is.
Yeah, but I'm saying there's plenty more where that came from, and they're all here. And they're all connected.
I didn't mean it to sound like I was arguing with you. I'm agreeing. I'm saying that the sensation is far stronger here. far worse than just a glimpse of whatever you're carrying around.
We should be very careful when we communicate with it then.
What's the name of the judge on that paper? Marlon.
He then opens the scroll again. Marshal Edmund Dorston.
Depending on
his
how
name?
long ago this was written, he might still be alive. Especially if he's an, elven heritage or something. Even if he's not, maybe a descendant. And if he's a judge in his office, perhaps a record of this transaction. If not a person, then a paper. Could be a lead to go on, find out what they were doing here. Well, we know partly what they were doing here. They were looking to destroy the Child of Darkness. But why and who sent them? A judge might have the answer.
If Nathan was just hired to protect Eldarin, why did he die at his grave like this? Why didn't he just run? Why did he bury him? Why did he bother?
Repeated scrapes with death can make you feel pretty close to people even after a couple short weeks. Might be that he thought of Eldarin as a good friend.
Do you still want to look at his body?
Don't even know where we'd find it, to be honest. I mean, yes, if I could tell exactly where he was buried, I would want to take a look, but there's no clear marking here, there's just a headstone. I think it's better to just leave the dead undisturbed. In this case.
Jairus, then.
Agreed. We dig up our answers there. Not here.
I'm trying to think about how Arias might use this information, what he wanted it for. This is what he wanted to come all the way into the mist for.
See, this, other than the name of this judge, this marshal, this paper doesn't really tell us much that we didn't already know. These two men. Didn't Arias give you their names in the first place?
I don't
But he
remember him
clearly-
mentioning Nathan. But
Right.
Eldarin, yes.
So clearly he knew about them already. Maybe he didn't know why they were here, but, that's nothing new. The only thing I can see that he would stand to gain from this would be what they were doing and the name of this magistrate.
I'm just curious, I suppose. If Eldarin was seeking to destroy the Child of Darkness and Arias is seeking to create it, it would imply that the Child of Darkness already existed. I don't know if that's something I'd want Arias to know.
Agreed. That's information we should probably mask from him. Although it's possible that maybe he knows the Child of Darkness is perhaps already born and perhaps already alive, but needs to be... I don't know the word. Cultivated in some way? Unleashed? Revealed? Transformed? It might be that this Child of Darkness is already walking around, but the force inside him, her, it, whatever, is perhaps just lurking there waiting to be awakened. And again, that's something Arias probably shouldn't know.
But then perhaps if he does know, it will stop him from harming anybody else.
Do you believe that?
No.
Nor do I.
It feels weird to leave this place with just this scroll. Feels like we've come so far.
I agree.
These handprints, it's just so weird. You felt like you recognized them.
I did. I do feel like there's more here. Coming all the way just for that paper, just for one name, seems like a rather flimsy clue.
I don't know what I was expecting, but it was more. I expected more, I don't know.
Honestly, I was half expecting some dead person to stand up and talk to us or something more dramatic. I don't know, but if it is just a written clue, then so be it.
That would be helpful. But
I hate thinking that we know this already, and we just don't think we know it. Merlin, what was the scroll you picked up all that time ago in the cave? Did you speak to the dead?
It's not something I can do just yet, but something like that. Would I be able to cast message here, Brad?
You can cast it whenever you want. Yeah.
Is message just to Arias, or could I perhaps try to commune with, this presence?
Which presence?
Nathan or Eldrin Graham?
You wish to try and commune with one of these using message.
I don't know if that's even I'm just throwing ideas. I'm thinking out loud.
You can try. You can always try.
Okay. All right. Let's give it a go. What roll am I making?
Let me see here. First of all,
Oh, I can't even see the target, so I don't even think.
you don't need to be able to see the target. Because you are casting enhanced message. So you can whisper a message to anyone.
I don't know if drawing the dead out may be the brightest idea, though.
But usually, with the spell message, they have to be alive. That
Right.
being said, you are tapping into a source of power that is beyond you
Yeah,
and your knowledge, so
right. Okay, well, I guess scratch that then. There has to be something else here that surely it's not just the scroll.
Merlin, you can detect magic, right? Just do that. See if there's something else here that we're
Alright,
missing.
let's give that a go. So he immediately then casts detect magic to see if there is anything maybe we can't see.
yeah. How does this normally work for you when you do this? How do you normally understand the magics that you're seeing?
It's almost like he goes into like a meditative state, and then like he just it's almost like he wraps himself around just his surroundings. Yeah, I guess that's the best way I can describe it.
Okay. Much like with Will's divine sense, your detect magic spell goes off and you understand and register the arcane elements of anything around you specifically. Just about everything here registers as some form of necromancy. it's very difficult to even see through the smog of necromantic energy that is in this area, predominantly again from the ghosts, but you also just get a sense of it in general while here in the mist. There is a what would this be? This would be I suppose a form of abjuration that is coming from the stone and the handprints on the stone in front of you. The piece of paper in your hand, the writ, is also being magically preserved. Somebody has cast a spell on this so many times that it lasts as paper for much longer than any normal paper would. Not necessarily uncommon for writs and legal binding papers to have a little enchantment on them. But it's old magic. Very, very old. The sense of necromantic energy coming off of the undead is also old magic, and the sense of necromantic energy coming off of the mist itself is old magic. But then there is the 9th school of magic that registers on you and probably feels like it might feel to us as if we had been sat comfortably in our homes and then the walls are removed and what you expect to be there is nothing but space. It would feel to you, as soon as you register it and you understand the next element, the void magic that sits on everything and is permeating all 4 of you, is allowing the mist to be what it is allowing any of this to happen, sits inside Will, sits inside Fix, inside Vita, inside Fire, and is growing in you. It would feel like your mind opened up, and I think you need to roll me a Constitution saving throw.
Oh boy.
$15. That is a make, which means you only take half of
Oh no.
a D10 of psychic damage. Seven. So 3 rounded down. So you take 3 sanity points and you take an experience away from this, the type of thing that feels existential, maybe just so much bigger than you can even comprehend. And I think maybe as a wizard you understand how to open up your senses or how to think outside of the box in a way that might allow you to think around things. You have to think around corners to be able to cast certain spells, but this is something else. You tap into something so massive it is completely alien to you, and it is so enormous and so overwhelmingly powerful that I think you feel that, and you maybe recoil for a moment as you are hit by it. That being said, you now understand that at the center of all of this, your suspicions were true. There is another school of magic known as void magic, and its source is not here. But your suspicions, up until now, and the other elements that we've discussed seem to be very, very true. I think the only other thing you might recognize is the spells that are on you and your companions, any minor things, but nothing terrible. And as you come back, and maybe there's a second or two where you have to catch your breath, you have a deeper understanding of the fact that there is a secret school of magic, unbeknownst to you or anyone you've ever heard speak of magic, and you're able to tap into it, but my god, does it hurt every time you do it. It saps away at something inside of you that can never be returned. But it's powerful.
Yeah, I think we would see Merlin, because he's so overwhelmed by this, fumble back and fall on his bottom and just kind of shake his head and then look up at the others. There is another kind of magic here. And it's... I don't know if this is what Arias seeks, but it's void. Void magic. I never even knew that something like this existed.
Are you okay?
I think as Fire asks Merlin, his nose begins to bleed a little.
I'll use my sleeve and just press it against your nose and clean you up.
It knocked the wind out of me. I don't know if that's something I should tap into again. I may have to consider, though.
Arias did mention it. In the school. He mentioned the void. But he didn't seem to understand it.
No, I don't think quite so.
I wonder if that's what he's really after. A way to control a new type of magic that no one else has seen before. Or maybe he thinks he can harness it in some way.
Or he thinks it's the source of the mist.
You might be right. After all, what do we really know about this stuff anyway? Where it came from? What drives it?
I can only think that it stems from here. The mist.
Right.
There was something else he said as well. That Eldarin knew what the void was. How would Eldarin know what the void is? And if Eldarin knew what the void was and he wanted to kill the Child of Darkness... I mean, it's all hypothetical. It doesn't make any difference to us right now. We don't know anything, but... There's just so much. There's so much we don't know, and I hate knowing that if we talk to the mist, there's a chance we might know, but... it might take us on a journey we never come back from.
Whatever Eldarin knew most likely died with him. But it's possible he might have told someone. It's definitely worth following up the name on that paper. And if he... I don't know. It's also possible that he or Nathan Silvertongue might have had a relative somewhere. Maybe they told their family where they were going. If they had families. Friends. At least now we know where they set out from, though. Jairus, we could ask around there. Look and see. Maybe they have Brothers, sisters, mothers, acquaintances, co-workers?
Somebody
Someone
has
in
to
that
know
area.
them.
Right. They had to have told someone where they were going and why. If there is some other clue here, I don't see how to unearth it. Looking around to my senses is overwhelming, and apparently is to Merlin too. And there's nothing else here. Or is there? Brad, is there any other objects of interest, either in the graveyard or in the immediate vicinity that we can see? Any other landmarks?
In terms of what I assume you're really looking for, not really. You're surrounded by just extremely ancient looking worn stones and gravestones. None of them have any real markings on them or anything like that. They've been worn away over the years, but the only real things here are the skeleton missing a head, the torn and ripped satchel, the stone with the two preserved bloody handprints on them. Nothing else.
Okay. The satchel, that's where the scroll came from, right?
Yeah, the satchel is like barely a thing.
Is there anything else in it?
There is, but it seems as if it's been disturbed before, and there's nothing in there that really is anything. It's just what was maybe once a few coins or glass or items, and it's all just turned to oxidized things or dust almost. The satchel itself, not really even leather anymore to touch.
Okay. The handprints on the gravestone, can I pick up anything else about them? Spot anything weird with them? Walk around, check the backside of the gravestone? Anything here?
The only thing you can tell about them is that it would be odd that they would remain. They look like handprints that may have been left a week ago, very clear, as if painted red all over the hand and then carefully placed on the stone. That kind of brown, old looking blood stain, and had it not rained, maybe this had been done a week ago. It seems very strange that they are extremely untouched. The two of them, both left hand, but different. Nothing else on the gravestone. Looking over it, the more you look over it, the more you become convinced it's likely a brick taken from the Winter Hall nearby and then put here as a makeshift grave or headstone to mark Eldarin's final burial place, but it really is nothing else of use. And again, all of this stuff is all kind of overgrown and covered in moss and grass, except for really the gravestone here with the handprints on.
Right, but you did say though that I was picking up on it as being consecrated or hallowed, right?
It seems, yes, however you want to interpret that, it does seem like a consecrated thing. It's almost untouched by the mist itself. The handprints themselves almost glow to your senses. Especially when you had the divine sense up, it was the only singular thing here that felt good.
Right. Is there any like standard procedure or normal thing that I could think of that would cause it to be consecrated, or was this be completely out of left field? Is this normal for a graveyard?
It's pretty out of left field. This is really your first brush with anything that would feel like this to you in terms of senses and arcane things, but clerics and religious folk will often bless lands and bless idols and things like that. If that were the case, then maybe a cleric has done this or somebody of a particular religion has done this, but I don't think you would know that it had any sort of direct effect like this, or even an arcane one, if that would be how you interpret it. Whatever you witnessed this, I don't know if you would have the referential knowledge over the last 3 weeks since being able to divine sense and then find that there is in fact something that would register to you as holy or consecrated in a way. Yeah, so this for sure is a thing, and the only thing in this entire graveyard, or at least within 60 feet of you, that seemed to have that element to it though.
Right. And the only person who could have put it here would have been Nathan. Can I check Nathan's body and see if there's any markings, inscriptions, papers, any patches on his clothes, anything I can recognize to give me a clue who he is or where he's from or what he did?
The patches are, and clothing and everything that really, any flesh, even hair, has gone from his body. There are bits, again, several areas where you can tell there are like oxidized metals that were probably from some sort of mail or something like that on him. And really you only get that image because you have seen what he looked like. With your memory of seeing him a couple of times, you would, I think, understand him to be, just from his size and shape, to be a fit man. He had a sword on him that he was carrying previously, draped over his shoulders. You witnessed on the road. You saw him in a memory here fighting, and he took a fighting stance that would make sense for somebody using a single longsword in 2 hands. He would resemble more like a mercenary to you, a warrior of sorts. In the images and memories and visions that you've seen of him, he didn't have any overt patches on him like you might expect on a soldier. They have a uniform patch and images like that. He seemed to just be wearing normal clothes with armor to it, which is more the type of thing you'd find from a sword on the road, maybe a bandit, but he looked a little too well kept to be somebody that lives on the road. Roadman, maybe
His shovel?
Yes.
His shovel that he was carrying, is it laying next to him on the ground somewhere?
The shovel is nowhere to be seen, and even in the memory you saw of it, it was a thing that he had bound together with like wire and using parts of the items that he had. It was a makeshift thing that he had done and was using mostly with his hands to bring out the dirt. It would have taken him a long time to dig this grave by himself with that thing.
I can't think of anything else, unless any of you have any bright ideas. I think we're done here.
I compare my hand to the handprints just to like get an idea of scale. See like if they look big man hands or like smaller.
Yeah, to generalize, one of them seems like a particularly large hand. No giant's hand here, nothing like you might find on a Goliath or an orc, but the hands of a large man. The other handprint seems to be much slimmer, but not really much smaller necessarily. You would, if you were to guess anything, somebody of roughly average man height and size, but you wouldn't necessarily know whether it was, human or tiefling, that kind of thing, but you can guess it's going to be somewhere in there for sure. Certainly they probably are both larger than yours.
Seeing Fix do this, can I look and see if Nathan's arm is intact?
Nathan's arm, yes, he has a skeletal frame of an arm outstretched towards the stone, but again, with your vision that you saw of him, it really was more like he fell to his knees and fell forward headless, as opposed to, he died while maybe touching the stone.
I'm going to pick up the entire body as carefully as possible.
pretty hard to do. There's nothing really holding the bones together anymore, and it's kind of under a bunch of like leaves and grass and things. It's not really a
Okay.
body, and the clothing is not clothing either. It's all wasted away. Ancient. This has been hundreds of years.
Okay. That being the case, if it's that badly banged up, then I'm just gonna hold the hand up. I'll just pick the hand up and hold it up to the handprint on the thing and see if it's roughly the same size.
Hard to tell. Maybe the same size as the smaller handprint, but really, really, really difficult to tell without the actual flesh on it.
Right.
So,
Are you thinking
this
what I'm
point-
thinking?
well, I'm thinking that if the tombstone was already here, that means Eldarin was already dead, so who is the second handprint?
Exactly. Eldarin couldn't have put a hand on his own tombstone.
Unless he anticipated his own death.
Right.
And
Could
this
be.
was a
He suffered.
preparation.
It could be, yeah. He suffered a mortal wound and was bleeding out and leaned on what would become his own headstone.
But it stands
That
to
seems-
reason that, well, did you ever see a third person in any of your visions?
Only one that I can think of. Back in Kull, I had a vision of that woman from one of the tribes on the plains, barbarian woman. But that's about it. And I've never seen her in a vision with these two. It's like it's a separate party. It's
Interesting.
the only other person I can think of besides these two that I've seen.
I can't shake the feeling that Eldarin knew he was going to die. And this was deliberate. I suppose we don't really know. Well, we can
Right.
dig him up.
Look what's become of Nathan. Body's fallen apart. Clothing's disintegrated.
But look at the handprints on the tombstone. Fresh, almost.
Could be that someone else was here just before us. That is a possibility. These handprints may be fresh. Because they don't seem to match Nathan's hand size. And they're not the same, so it was two different people. And nothing else around here has been preserved, so I don't know why the handprints would be preserved.
Other than the scroll.
It's true. I wonder if Eldarin put some sort of enchantment on the scroll to keep it from deteriorating. Maybe left it as a... No, not Eldarin. Nathan, perhaps.
I wouldn't be able to tell who did it, but there definitely is some sort of magic on the scroll.
Right. And I felt it on the headstone itself. Although, why would he preserve the headstone?
I don't know,
Unless
but
it-
I'm quite keen to dig up.
Is it some sort of protection magic on the handprints? That's
Not from what I detected anyway.
Alright, as much as I don't want to disturb the dead, I feel like we came all this way. We can't afford to leave and potentially miss some important clue right under our noses.
I'm glad you said it. I didn't want to be that guy, but I kind of feel the same way.
Right, we dig.
Be prepared to run, just in case.
Well, I did watch a vision of that guy getting his head bit off, so yeah. Had that feeling too.
Merlin just begins to borrow like a dog. He just starts digging up.
Merlin, do you have maybe a spell of some sort you could use to help us out and make an improvised shovel?
No.
Well,
And even if I did, I wish to dig this way.
Okay.
to each their own, that if you enjoy digging so much.
He really does.
Do I ever? And he just keeps going.
I'm gonna roll 1 dice. It is a consecrated grave that you are about to dig up. And Merlin begins to dig at it as like a dog with his hands kind of burrowing in front of him. As he does so, you feel scratches on your chest, Will. And the faster he begins to dig, you feel this itching and these scratches. And then you feel underneath your shirt as he continues to dig away at this thing. You feel the warmth of blood spreading through your tunic underneath your armor. And he begins to dig and dig and dig. And this itching and this burning sensation on your chest begins to spread as if...
Enough. I'm gonna... about the first time you mentioned blood, I'm gonna, stop and pull him back.
What is the matter?
I'm checking for blood on my fingertips.
It's not bad. It's light blood, almost as if maybe a small rodent had been scratching at your chest a lot. But you have lots of little scratch marks, and there is just a crisscross of wounds, small, shallow cuts on your chest.
This grave is bound to me in some way. No wonder it all looks familiar.
Good thing we didn't use the shovel.
Yeah, good thing you stopped me.
I'm gonna reach down to where Merlin was digging and start, not digging into it, but I'm gonna run my hands across it and see if I can feel this reflected on myself in some way.
No, you don't feel it reflected on yourself in any way necessarily, but as you run your hands across the dirt, you see your the little bits of blood from your chest sit on the top of the grave and take on the slight hue and glow of the blood on the stone.
I want to take my hand, which is now bloodied, walk back to that gravestone where the 2 handprints were, and just add a third one between the other 2.
Yeah. You move towards the gravestone, place your hand on it. There is a moment for everybody here that sees each of the hands light up a little, not a huge amount, and around Will's hand, the blood of all 3 of them seems to match for a moment, and then 3 figures appear around you in 3 positions, translucent and ethereal, but they stand there as if statues of people. They glow with a warm light, and all of you can see them. There is an older man, perhaps in his 50s, greyed beard, military haircut, the battle-hardened jaw of a soldier. He stands there still with a sword in his hand. A second figure, a much younger man, but taller, long, coarse, blonde-looking hair, thin face, scrappy armor, and upon his back is a huge, crafted greatsword. And the third figure is taller still, very lean and muscular body, the type of body that comes quite commonly, Will, with a polearm user, and he stands in much more recognizable but very aged looking scaled armor, the scaled armor that the Rageous Navy men wear north of Guardia. All 3 of them open their mouths and silently speak. However, what they say is heard very clearly by you, Will. Each of them standing there, their bodies completely still, bar their mouths, each of them staring only at Will, speaking these repeated messages. And while silently the three of you can hear it, Will, you can hear what they're saying over and over and over again, all three of them at once, until they say one sentence each, and then the third sentence they all say together, and it doesn't stop. And as you look up and turn to each of them, they stand around you, repeating these silent messages. What they're saying, only you can hear, and I'm going to give it to you here on the Roll20 as a handout, since you are the only person who can hear it. You should be able to see it if I click this button. Do you see it?
I do see it now, yes.
Okay.
Did you want me to read this out loud, or?
Well, only you can hear what they're saying. So it's up to you how you interpret this.
Gotcha. Can you describe the first figure again?
Yes, and I will give you a better description on here if you'd like. I have man 1. This one you recognize as Eldarin. 100%. Man 2, you recognize to be the figure who was standing with the tribeswoman in Kull previously, and I will call him for you young man with coarse blonde hair. And then man 3 looks like a courageous navy man. And I'll update the sheet there for you, and I'll also give you all of this in writing.
Okay, just one question. When we initially saw that, or when I initially had the vision in Kull and I saw the tribeswoman, the person with her was me. So
Correct.
am I looking at me?
You are also hearing the voice that you heard in your first vision that you had after waking up. You
The one on the ship.
hear what's a voice that sounds so very similar to yours, but is not you. The Navy man speaks with what is very close to your voice. The second figure appears to you, and you recognize them as the second person that you saw in Kull, that you saw as you now understand was this person. And the first person is Eldarin, who you also saw standing as yourself with Nathan on the road. You simply understand these three people are those three visions.
Right. Would man number 2, given that the first time I saw him I thought it was me, and now I'm seeing him up close, does he have a strong resemblance to me? Is that why I might have thought he was me? Or is there something else here?
Not at all. I would say none of the three of them really resemble you physically at all.
Okay. Is there anything that I can pick out as to why the first time I saw this guy I would have identified it immediately as myself?
Not unless you can tell me a reason. In terms of physically, you really only see what you see. The first man, older, greyed beard, military looking, but not in anything that has any military clothing on him. He has a plain looking longsword, not too dissimilar to yours, the type of thing that is probably handed out in bulk. But he has that look of a soldier, that hardened jaw that you just understand amongst one another. No distinctive features beside that. Nothing on him. Clothing looks old, as it has done in the visions you've seen of him before. Second man is... At first you might think him to be a very, very low-born knight, but looking at him for longer, you might even think that he's somebody that killed a knight and took their armor, scrappy armor built and put together on the road. His sword on his back is unbelievably well crafted, however. You can tell it is ornate in places, but only in the places that wouldn't affect the balance. The type of thing that is sought after by rich men who want to put it on a wall somewhere. Armor, face, nothing distinguishing about them that would necessarily make you go, aha, this is that person or whatever. And because of the armor being kind of bits and pieces in several places, it's kind of hard to determine how old the armor is. The third figure, you can give me a history check if you'd like, actually. We'll see what you know about Regis. It's pretty near to where you're from, an island off the north of Guardia. I think probably...
I have a 9 on my history.
Purely because of your time in the military, I'm giving you the history check anyway, but the island off the north of Guardia is completely allied in every way, politically, militarily, with Guardia. Regis is just mostly a single huge city on an island between the Tiefling lands and Guardia, but they command a decent fleet of ships. They are also in charge of a lot of trade between the mainlands. The armor that he's wearing is very recognizable in general to anybody who might recognize this kind of armor. It's scaled and plated in a way that makes that is obvious to you, but you wouldn't really be able to place when. It doesn't necessarily look old or new, but you'd probably have to go and check. That kind of a feeling maybe, where you're not sure whether this is a more recent looking armor or something that they've been wearing for years. In terms of his figure, he has a polearm. He's strong looking. He might be around the same age as you, but not necessarily. You don't look or resemble each other, but every time he speaks and when you hear the words that he says to you, he does sound a lot like you. It's uncanny almost. To an untrained ear, you'd think it was the exact same voice, but you can tell a slight difference in it. But it is very, very strange how similar he sounds to you. Other than that, nothing to place them. I think that's probably all of the information you would really get off of looking at them, studying them, what they're wearing, and their resemblance in any way. They certainly don't seem like anyone in your family that you recognize, and none of them look like you at all.
Okay. I will withdraw my hand from the headstone.
Yeah.
Finally, and leave that other handprint on it.
You do so.
Okay.
And they disappear immediately. You three watching see them disappear. The handprint that you leave on the stone is still there. After a second, it goes from being a kind of a light red to that kind of brownish color again. And it fills out in a way that maybe you only had a little piece or spattering of blood on your hand, but the handprint that's left behind is very clear. 3 handprints now on the stone.
Every question that's answered just opens up 2 more.
Do you know what they were saying?
Aldrin's voice. I was killed here for my lack of knowledge, yet I found the source. He did not say the source of what. That was all he said. The second one is the same person I saw in Kull right after we met, that very first vision on the road with the tribeswoman there. Although back then, I thought the vision was me. Now looking at it here, it's kind of hard to say. I still feel like it's me in some way, a reflection. And he said knowledge of the source saw me lost under Dandello. Where's Dandello? Have you heard of it?
Have you heard of it?
Have we heard of it, Brad?
It is dead in the center of the map. I'll give you the map so you can see where it is. It is. You most certainly would have been near it if you've ever traveled through from Guardia and come up to Kull. You kind of have to go past it on the road north, but most people don't go there. It's a very out of the way desert. The desert is known for being poisonous and poisoned. The lands around it are dead and dying, and people just die in the desert, not just from cold, because it's cold more than hot, but from the straight up poison that comes from the land. And people don't go there yet. The people that live there. People consider them to be strange and weird and all sorts of weirdness, but also people live in the north near the mist, and people consider those people to be strange and weird as well. But you would most certainly know where it is. It's a much more functioning, I'll say town, not really a city, but it's the largest of the desert towns. There is another place called Kuz, which is south of it. Basically no one goes there, but you can go there. It is known for being filled with witches and hags and dangerous types. No one really goes there, so if you're a criminal, it's kind of a nice place to run away to. Dandello gets some of the off shoot from that. It is a criminal hideout of much renown, but yeah, all of you would most certainly have heard of it, unless Merlin doesn't want to have, but who knows where Merlin has traveled in his many years. So yes, you would certainly know where it is, and I'll leave the map up for you too.
Okay, well, in that case, I wouldn't have phrased it as a question. I would have said, yep. The second one said, knowledge of the source saw me lost under Dandello. Perhaps buried in the sand somewhere, I don't know. The third one said, I followed the source into the ocean and upwards to my doom. And that third man was also me, in my first vision when I woke up, after I fell.
I mean, this hear me out. This might be crazy, but what if, how I said earlier, you were remembering things? They were not your memories. What if every time... Did you tell these two what happened to you?
Told Merlin. But then when I woke up, it was during that dream. So I guess he didn't actually hear it. And Fire wasn't there at all.
He died. He fully died. He died. I saw the scar. He shouldn't be here. He should be dead in a battlefield in Grant's Refuge. But he's here. And he has no idea how.
That seems like something that's kind of important to share. You're the Walking Dead?
Yes.
How?
Do you really think I can answer that question? I can't even tell you who I am.
So what if you came back and you have the spirit that all of these people had inside them? It's giving you these powers, and you have their memories. And each time you've learned something new. You just have to access the information.
Sure, I guess. At this point, there's more questions than answers.
So the last you went into the ocean and sailed north. And that's when you woke up.
That was the first vision I had after I fell.
And chronologically, you've had visions that date back to the first person.
Well, the chronology of it is somewhat lost on me because I don't know what years these people were alive. It's kind of hard to say. Fire, Merlin. The slaughter of Grant's Refuge. I fought there defending it. But I did not survive. When we all had dinner together in Call, I told you all that if I had been able to get there in time, I would have died defending it, and that was the truth. And I did get there in time. And I was struck down there by a large half-orc. The same one that escaped on the ship. At some point.
Well,
So how did you... I get that part. But how did you go from that happening to being alive? You don't know?
How are you moving your finger?
Magic?
It's kind of one of those things where if it's working, you just don't question it. If you had a torn shirt and there was a thread holding it together, you wouldn't pluck at the thread for fear of it falling apart. When a dead man wakes up, last thing he wants to do is mess with whatever it was that brought him back. At least in my case. But I'm starting to think I'm not going to have a choice much longer. I don't know whether these are my own memories or not. I don't know if this is reincarnation. I don't know if I'm seeing their memories and it feels like they're my own. For all I know, Willerton Ortis is still dead at Grant's Refuge, and you just have some specter traveling with you now. Pile of someone else's memories. Like, I don't know who or what I am.
you are Will. Don't question yourself even for a moment. What happened to you? I mean, I wish it hadn't, but you're still here.
It doesn't stop you being you.
Exactly.
I wish I could agree with that. But I have other people's memories.
You still have your memories.
How do I even know they're mine? How do I even know I'm remembering everything straight at this point?
How do any of
How
us?
do any of us, to be fair?
Bix, Vita suddenly reacts to something. You get a feedback from Vita, a panicked feeling of something approaching very fast. Something very bad. And it's approaching at a rapid speed from underneath you.
Oh!
The three of them had one other thing they said.
We should go. We should go right now. There's something coming, and I don't know what it is, but Vita is terrified, and we need to move.
Okay, I'm following you.
Oh,
I'll grab
okay.
Merlin.
Where
We go
from?
back the way we came. I don't know. It's underneath us. It's beneath us. I don't know what direction it's coming from. We just need to go.
All right, move.
And that is where we end our session today.
Oh, tremors! You put me in tremors!
Maybe.
God damn it, Brad.
I quit.
God damn it.
Oh, it's unfortunate that this is my last one.
Thank you so much for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen, to this episode of Mistlight. We went a little late. I kind of just let it run because we finished early last week because we were down a Bri because power in the real world is annoying during a storm.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happened. I'm able to recall simple things.
You're getting it, yeah.
And so I kind of let it go because I wanted you to explore this bit however you explore it and let you come to the conclusions that you could come to. However, there is something coming to get you. And unfortunately, we'll find out what that is next week. Many things this week that you have uncovered. As usual, like a Hydra in this show, you get one answer and two more questions pop up from it. But you're getting there. That's all you keep going, guys. You're doing great. Little pat on the back from me. Can't tell you anything about it other than that. But yes, you will have a week to ponder and consider what has happened tonight, and also prepare yourselves mentally for what should appear from the deep underneath this area around Winter Hall. If you want to go and question these wonderful players of mine during the week on what this was all about and where it's going and what's happening and what's coming to get them, then you can do so by following their channels. Head on over to all of their channels and follow them and give them subscriptions and question them on things and watch what they do daily. You can do that at the following channels. We'll do a round of shout outs, starting with Merlin, the Void Master.
Hi, I'm Dispy. I played Merlin for you today. Oh my god, it just gets better and better. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. And thank you so much for the amazing roleplay and storytelling, Brad. Holy shit. And yeah, you can find me doing more roleplay over on my channel at DispyRx. Yeah, that's about it. Thank you, everyone.
All right. What about Bri?
Well, you can find me at Brutalbury everywhere, other than here ever again, because I'm leaving. Okay. So Brad made a pun today. I'm in Dune now, and that battle, everything went wrong, and I quit. This is my dramatic quitting. I fucking quit now.
It wasn't so bad. You still chunked down a bunch of health off a couple of them.
Yeah, but I threw my bow on accident, and I just kept getting gunked from every angle.
You could have lost. If you had rolled a 2, your bow would have gone over the edge.
Yeah, I'm aware. Okay. Oh, I'm aware. I'm fully aware that was a possibility,
Brad. I wanted to happen, but
I'm sure it was.
This would have been funny. Hey, maybe it will be stuck everywhere in the head of whatever's coming up to get you.
Yeah, and then 10 more will show up.
Maybe. What about Will?
You can find me over at twitch.tv/fairlight_Excalibur, or you can just look in chat and click on my name, because let's be real, no one can spell it otherwise. I just finished binging on New World, and now that beta is closed, I'll move on to the next one, which is Back for Blood. So you can find me slaying zombies all day, every day over there. You can also find me on Twitter at FairlightEX. Yes,
you said that your voice was hurting, and you were like, "Oh, I won't be able to talk too much." And I was like, "Oops," because if you get anywhere near this, if you don't get to the grave today, that's fine. But I was like, if you get to it, it's kind of all on you a little bit.
Yeah, it's there's a reason I've been a little bit less expressive this session. My throat is kind of destroyed from multiple long sessions in a row of New World. Also, I just want to throw out this friendly reminder that Fire is wearing my casual shoes.
Yes.
Okay,
and I think that's hilarious.
I'm wearing my boots with no bottoms and your boat shoes over them. I'm wearing Dad's loafers right now, yeah, and there will not be art made of it. I'm putting both my soulless feet down.
Fire going
on that.
to the ball in her new.
I I need to see the artwork of fire, like, proportionate, appropriate, and then just giant, oversized, like, borderline clown shoe size.
Clown shoes.
Loafers.
This was serious,
I stopped and I double checked my character sheet because as soon as you lost your shoes, I was like, I'm pretty sure my background says I start with a change of clothes, an extra change of clothes. So I was like, well, that means I probably have a robe and shoes in my bag. And sure enough, it's there. I was like, here you go.
God.
You get dad's loafers.
I can't wait till by the time you make it, if you make it back to town, you have to buy some new shoes, but you forget just because game. And then you're wearing them for the rest of the campaign. And you're reminded in the final episode.
You get used to it. It's uncomfortable at first, but then you just forget about it.
Yeah.
Final boss will be like, "Nice shoes, loser," and I'll be like, "Oh my god,
Yeah. Deals
I forgot."
16d12
What are
psychic
those?
damage. Embarrassment.
Final
have to
boss, final words. What are those?
There's going to be a clutch, vital acrobatics check.
Yep.
And then there's going to be that reminder that you have loafers on. You have to make it with disadvantage.
Disadvantage.
Yeah.
The classic D&D loafer disadvantage.
It's
It's
in the PHP.
It's in the PHP.
All right. Well, head on over and follow young Brutal Bree
And Fairlight.
and Fairlight and Disby. And if you'd like to follow Fix, you can. Where?
This is Fitch.television /Leah. Goodbye. I'm so tired now.
Okay.
Aw.
Leah also does Mistlight After Dusk on her channel on Fridays. If you want to head on over and watch that, it's usually on around 10 UK-ish.
Yes,
5
which may or may not be
Eastern.
happening tomorrow.
Which may or may not be happening tomorrow.
But it needs to because, oh my god, there's so much to talk about.
The week
But
that it needed to happen the most. There will be no breakdown. So you just have to go
no, we'll see.
Go and badger Leah tomorrow if you want.
Bug me.
Otherwise, it will be a very special episode, which it will be on a
double
secret
length.
channel at a secret time between now and next week.
You gotta find it.
But you have to find it yourselves with no clues. Yes, let's do some giveaways real quick. I have drawn the names secretly.
Giveaways sound amazing, Brad, but we're over time and I gotta go, so good luck with the giveaways.
Well, you're out of the giveaway.
You can't leave the call. It's going to ruin everything.
You're out of the giveaway.
Then I won't leave the call, but I'm gonna walk away and I gotta go do things. Good luck with the giveaway.
He's out. He doesn't get to win.
Enjoy your poop.
Go poop. Have a good poop.
2 copies to give away of Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft coming up right now. And the winners are as follows. And these are your Discord names. Remember that these are not your in-Twitch names. And I believe I know both of these people as well, which means all 3 of these are going to people that I recognize, which is fun and nice. The first one went to table, what is it called? Drum roll, please.
Did you just say table roll?
I was going to say table roll because I know you're going to have to hit the table, and I
don't. I literally don't use my hands. I just go.
At artist/Gav, which I'm hoping is it Gav? I hope it's lovely Gav. If that's you, congratulations. Quick drum roll for the second one. DJ's Media, my other close personal friend, DJ's Media, one of my personal DJs. 2, I can at least, although they're picked completely at random, I can at least verify that there are 2 very good people that are winning copies of this, and very well deserved. So I'm happy to see it go to 2 good people. Gavlot in the chat.
Yay, Gav won.
Yes, well done. Contact a mod, or we'll get you. I can catch you probably myself at some point when you swing by my channel at twitch.tv/ninja. Thank you so much for watching our show. We are over time. Thank you for sticking with us for the extra hour-ish of the show and the slight tech problems and things. But I very much enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you go and check out all of these wonderful people. We have many shows on Table Story, including episode 1 of Faint Dawn, which is on Sunday at 9 p.m. UK, 4 Eastern, and I'm in that. I get to play a character. Do you want to see my cosplay?
Yeah.
Cosplay?
Here it is. That's my whole cosplay.
Oh, wow.
Max effort.
Yes,
Oh,
it
good
is
job,
going to be
Brad.
a domestic Dan campaign with an all-star cast. Please check it out, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Peace out, and goodbye.
Bye.